betrayed WCW.
What in the hell is he doing here? Monday Night Raw, Monday Nitro. He is broken.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Bret screwed Bret. The new world order, brother. Let's get this. We are at war.
That was awesome.
Abandoning a woman.
On either show?
On either show.
Oh,
dude,
God,
these
help
Nitro
me.
finishes.
Oh, God help me.
Okay, here we go.
I can't do it.
Do we have any liquor left for the Christmas
I
show?
quit. All right, let's do this.
WCW Monday Nitro number 224, January 3rd, 2000. Fitting,
God,
because
we're in 2000.
this felt like the end of the world.
Fuck.
Had a recap of the Steiner
Where
retirement.
was Y2K when I needed it?
Yeah, well, this show should have been wiped out by the
Yeah.
virus or whatever they call it. The bug. Recap of Scott Steiner's retirement swerve from last week. At the airport, a plane lands.
Cool.
Shivani says the new year will start, hopefully, on the right foot for WCW. He did not sound optimistic, I won't lie. Buzzkill and Mike Rotundo.
Okay. It's Buzzkill and Mike Rotundo against Ayers Twins.
That's where it was going, yes.
Okay. Now, this was a Rob moment. Okay. For Vince Russo. This actually was not his fault. But like, so basically, they got Leia Meow.
Mm-hmm.
Kimono Wanalea.
Yeah.
She's dressed as a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
She's got the little skirt on. A very, very tiny bra covering nothing. Okay. So Vince Russo wants ratings. And so he's got what appears to be a brilliant idea, Rob. I'm putting you over here. This appears to be a brilliant idea, okay?
This was Rob's idea?
Leia Meow is going to come down to the ring in her cheerleading outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to put down a mini trampoline. And she's just going to bounce on it.
Jumping on trampolines.
Okay. Right?
You can see how this would entice a wrestling fan to turn on the show.
So, the flaw in this theory, the flaw in this brilliant idea, Rob, is it's Leia Meow.
Yes.
Her boobs are hard as a rock.
Nothing moved.
And she is shredded. And so she bounces up and down on this trampoline and nothing moves. I was crying.
It may as well
I
have been
was
a
like,
cardboard cutout.
And I felt bad for Russo for once in my life. Only fucking Vince Russo could fuck this up. They figured it out. Like, I was just crying.
Well, I was also crying because my buddy Sean was over watching the Rose Bowl.
Oh.
I said, hey, I got to watch Nitro. You want to stick around and watch this? He says, sure. So we put it on the TV, and Sean brings his dog over, and my wife Bridget loves Sean's dog. She's playing with the dog, takes the dog for a walk. And Leia's bounced on the trampoline, and then I hear my wife's footsteps on the stairs.
Oh, you're in trouble,
Like,
too.
oh, God, please end. Please end. I'm thinking...
Nah, she just bounced for 10 minutes.
She like for 5 minutes just bounced on this goddamn trampoline.
And the best part was, she's exhausted by the end.
It's a workout. I don't blame her.
She has to bounce until standards and practices come out to take her away. I don't know if there was a timing issue. I don't know if it was a rib on Leia Meow. I don't know if Russo thought she'll just be bouncing forever, even though there is no bouncing to be done except for like her form going like this. Dude, this was how the show started.
This is how the tag team tournament continued.
Oh yeah, it was a tournament match. Fuck.
Tournament match. So Stacy Keibler and Standards and Practice cover up Leia Meow. The Varsity Club attacks them. This leaves Buzzkill alone in the ring. He's pinning a flapjack. 1 minute! It's a 1 minute match.
Now, can someone confirm or deny this? I have been told by a very credible source that the very first week that Stacy debuted in Standards and Practices, her name was actually Miss Handcock.
Okay.
And they were like, no. So they had to change to Hancock. Can someone tell me if that's actually true? I never heard that story. I thought it was always Hancock.
It was Hancock here. No D. The announcers talk about Sid being run over. Sid's in a car, okay? If those of you who missed last week's show, they put Sid Vicious into an automobile and then ran him over.
Ran him over
with a monster truck.
Yes.
Okay? Here's the full list of the devastating injuries Sid suffered as a result of being run over by a monster truck. He has compression burns on his neck.
Oh, no. Compression burns? What? What's he wearing a neck brace for, then?
I don't know.
Shouldn't he be wearing an ice pack?
I don't know.
So Bret arrives, and Sid in a neck brace.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They're talking about a new commissioner.
Oh, no.
Bobby Heenan's joking. It's going to be Lou Thesz. It's going to be Bruno Sammartino. Annette. I don't know if he meant Annette Funicello or what. So the NWO is talking about who this new commissioner might be. Nash says it's going to be the Z-Man Tom Zink. There's a monitor there. Jarrett says, where the hell is Bret? At this point, Bret shows up on the monitor, and Jarrett says, oh, there he is. So Bret is walking into the building, right? It's Bret Hart. He's got an NWO shirt on, he's got his jacket on, he's got his bag. And as he enters the building, hiding behind him is the 6'6", 300-pound Frankenstein.
Yes.
Sid Vicious.
Yes.
Sid wallops him with something metal.
Okay, hold on. Sid, Vinny. Mm-hmm. He's in the Hall of Awesome. There's a part of me that wants to... I guess we can't rename it because it's the Matt Cleary Hall of Awesome.
That'd be rude.
But I guess we could put like a slash in there, like the Matt Cleary / Sid Hall of Awesome.
The Matt Cleary Hall of Awesome hosted by Sid Vicious.
I watched this brawl, Vinny, okay? And I concluded that Sid is professional wrestling.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm listening.
Okay. He is pro wrestling. He's a giant...
Yes.
Freaky-looking guy.
True.
Who's going to turn heads when he walks through an airport.
Amen.
He's a living cartoon character.
True.
And he fake fights.
He sure does.
There's nobody...
He sure does.
There's nobody that exemplifies, that personifies professional wrestling more than Sid Vicious. Because, Vinny, what do people say about pro wrestling? It's guys in the underwear fake fighting. Yeah. Okay, most people you could at least pretend they're really fighting. Not Sid. He is fake fighting.
He sure is fake.
He's a big, freaky-looking giant that turns heads on the street and he fake fights. He is professional wrestling. And he's in his underwear.
Not here. Here he's in street clothes. There's like jeans and like a flannel with the sleeves cut off, a neck brace to treat his compression burns, and a backwards baseball cap.
I adore him. I adore this man.
He's having the world's worst brawl with Bret, who, by the way, has now deep in the symptoms of career-ending concussions.
He looks totally fucked up.
Part of the reason this is so fake is he can't do anything.
He's still cognizant. He can still cut his promos.
Yes.
But he is messed up.
He's doing nothing in this brawl. So, as they're fighting... Now, let's go back. The NWO was watching this. They acknowledged Bret Hart's in the building. They could see him on the monitor, so they must know Sid is killing him before their very eyes. As this fades to black to go to commercial, I don't know if Jeff thought the mic was live or if he thought they'd already gone to commercial, but you hear Jeff Jarrett clearly say, he's really big.
Well, he is really big.
So,
you know what? If I were suffering from anything that required me not to get hit in a brawl, I can think of no better attacker than Sid.
He will not get hurt.
I could wear a costume made of eggs, and he could beat the shit out of me, and not one egg would break.
He'd be fine.
Is he available for WrestleMania weekend, by the way?
I'm sure he is.
Because I'm missing some opponents. God.
So, after the break, the NWO is tending to Bret Hart. There is one thing on this entire show that I remember 20 years later. Bret's been down. He's been killed by an angry giant, right? Wasn't feeling that good going into it. They got him sitting up in a chair. He's down. He's holding his head in his hands. Just like this. And Jeff Jarrett asks, Bret, are you okay? And Bret lifts his head and just gives him the death stare to end all death stares. Just can't believe this moron has asked him a question this stupid. We watched this like 20 times. It was funny. It's funny now.
Bret is a very, very underrated heel character.
Yes.
He's one of the best.
When he's surrounded
Is he in the Hall of Awesome?
He should be.
Well, it's official now. Bret Hart has been added to the Hall of Awesome.
Yes.
Well, I don't think we had it during the 1997 period. So, Bret, congratulations on your the last time we'll see you for probably 5 years now.
Yeah.
You are in the Hall of Awesome.
But just the look he gave Jeff, just...
Got him in.
I can't do it. The motorcade is on its way. It's into the building. Gene interviews DDP. Page refuses to wrestle anyone until he gets a match with Buff Bagwell. Because Buff talked about wanting to bang Page's wife. I believe he was told the match is not till the pay-per-view. So he said, I'll leave right now. Then Hennig told him, no, the powers that be have determined you have to go to the ring right now. And Page says, well, who's in the ring? Hennig says, PG-13.
Oh, man, DDP was excited.
He says, that works for me. He goes to the ring. All right. So PG-13 comes out. Now, there were segments we missed last week due to the technical issues. The show is incomplete on the network. So they recapped what happened in one of those matches here. And this would have made me even more angry at last week's show. Rick Steiner and whoever the fuck his partner was.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. They beat PG-13 in the world... Who, by random coincidence, were tag team partners in this lethal lottery. Yeah. They beat these guys and pinned them to advance in the World Tag Team Title Tournament. And then Rick kept beating them and got DQ'd to get himself eliminated. Jesus Christ. So Page comes out. He destroys PG-13, hits them both with diamond cutters. Then the Wolfpack music starts to play. Not the NWO theme, the Wolfpack music.
Can I read what everybody said during this segment here?
Please.
So they play the Wolfpack music, and Tony screams, "That's the Wolfpack music!" It plays for a moment, and then the NWO music begins. And he says, "That's the NWO music!" And then Bobby Heenan screams, "It's Nitro, guys!"
So the deal is, Page was not the scheduled opponent for PG-13. Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner are. They come out. Nash drops an elbow, hooks the tights. The ref counts 3. This tournament sucks.
Yeah, why are Steiner and Nash a team?
Well, it was going to be, right by random draw last week, it was going to be Nash and Scott.
I see. Okay, I got it.
It turned out.
Because, you know, they revealed to us on this show on commentary that Scott Steiner is not, in fact, cleared to compete.
Yeah.
This fucking show.
Bret and Jeff are walking backstage with the guitars and belts and a bat. A limo drives around. NWO does a promo.
Oh, Bret was so great here. He dropped a big, stupid dummy.
There's no limit to the number of times I can hear Bret Hart call Sid a big, stupid dummy, and it's never not funny.
No,
I thought it happened one time.
No.
I thought it was one time on Raw. And it's every time he talks about Sid.
It's like the WCW.
His timing was perfect. Sid, you big, stupid dummy. Then he moves on.
I love it.
It's never not great. Threatens to pound in Sid's skull. Says, NWO, you can take the night off. I'm going to have some fun.
You know, he can never not make big, stupid dummy work, but Jeff Jarrett can never make slapnuts work.
It's amazing.
The worst catchphrase in the history of wrestling.
So Jeff says he'd like to beat Sid's ass, but first he's going to talk about Benoit.
Now, first he has to say, Slappy New Year.
Yeah. See, I'm not even acknowledging it. It's below me.
It's the worst.
So he talks about the 3 matches he's going to have with Benoit. He's going to beat him 3 times. Nash is a promo. He's burying the very idea of a commissioner. Like anyone's going to tell him what to do anyway. Steiner gloats about swerving the fans. Says, these aren't my fans anyway. My fans are educated and wear a suit and ties. I doubt that.
I don't know.
So this goes on for a while, and they left.
Hey, I'm going to give them credit here. They actually spent one full segment building up a pay-per-view.
All right.
Probably coming off the fact that Starrcade did a horrific pay-per-view number.
Bret talked about
Shockingly,
Sid.
Nobody bought that show.
It's amazing.
I know you're surprised to hear that nobody bought that well-built-up Starrcade pay-per-view, but they didn't.
The limo, as best I can tell, arrived at the building. In a tournament match, where the winner advances one step closer to the World Tag Team Champions to determine the best tag team on the planet Earth. David Flair and Crowbar versus Lash LaRue and Midnight. So,
can I just read my notes verbatim?
I wrote a lot, so you go ahead.
I'll go quick. Match is fucking atrocious. Stevie Ray attacked Midnight right in front of the referee, which was not a DQ. Disco and the Italians came out. Booker went after Stevie. The ref is yelling at everybody. Stevie hit his own brother with a slapjack. Lash gave Crowbar a Hurricane Rana onto his own partner. Vito and Johnny attacked Lash. Crowbar and David are pulling each other by the hair. The ref has to be distracted for all of this, even though it was made abundantly clear he wasn't calling for a DQ for anything. David then won. Tony has no idea who won or how, and it's not his fault. And then they cut right to the back. An all-time horrible segment. And let me add, by the way, 2 segments later, Lash LaRue is yelling at Disco for something else that happened in that match.
I have no idea.
That we didn't see.
I have no idea.
Because there was so much stuff going on, they didn't catch it.
No, you did actually an amazing job. The only thing I can really add is that when the bell rang, I said, Midnight is the best worker in this match. And the match went on, and I was proven correct.
Crowbar's pretty good.
Crowbar's all right. Stevie called her a jacked-up hoochie. He hit her right in front of the ref with his fist. And then hit her and Booker with a slapjack. The Italians are out there. There's a bunch of shit happening. David finally pins Lash, and then my notes here read, fuck motherfucker, fuck you. And then this tournament sucks. There's more to come. Lash confronts Disco. I couldn't hear them, which also didn't help. The Italians jump Lash. Lex is out to imitate Sting again. He's got to redeem himself. I need a useless wrestler to come out. Tank Abbott comes out instead. Liz maces Tank. Lex leaves. Jerry Flynn attacks Tank. There's a bell ringing, and Lex is scared of a bird.
Horrible. A bird?
There's a bird. You missed the bird.
I did miss the bird.
There was a bird.
Really?
Yeah.
Sure it wasn't a bat?
No, it was a bird.
Huh.
A bird scared Lex.
Oh, like Sting's bird?
It may have been the same guard bird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there might have been like an actual bird that just got loose in the building.
Well, there was an actual bird.
Okay, I got it.
But the idea was to have a bird there.
All right, we're even then. I missed that, and you missed Harvey Whippleman getting carried to the back.
Yes.
By another bird.
All right, this next segment.
This poor fucking Rob Gardner. So, a guy has to come out to announce the new commissioner. They've talked about Bill Bush for weeks now, but I guess Bill Bush is like, fuck you. I'm not doing this shit. Use Rob. It's his name, Rob.
It is, actually. It's their Rob.
This poor guy. This is their Rob. He's got to come out here. Oh my fucking God. They wrote the shittiest lines for this.
I was in a rush. I did not have time to transcribe this, and I'm sad.
I wrote some of them.
Have at it.
He said, there is a great power struggle ongoing between the powers that be and Bill Bush. And last week, the powers that be swerved the entire world. I cannot do justice to how poorly he recited this dialogue.
You're so much better than him.
And the dialogue is horrible. And this poor guy is not an actor.
No.
He's not a public speaker.
They actually got some office guy.
He's a fucking
probably
accountant or something.
Probably a highly paid Ted Turner employee.
Jesus Christ. He says, we have people that could save us. Goldberg, Sting. But they're out nursing injuries. So they're in Greenville, South Carolina. Everybody starts going, woo, waiting for Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So, the backstory is, it was supposed to be Ric Flair. But Flair wanted to know, what's the plan? The plan involved, like, a lot of losing and getting humiliated in his hometown, basically, in South Carolina. So he said, fuck you. I don't want to do this. So at the last second, they had to call Terry Funk. But everyone expected it to be Flair. And it was supposed to be Flair. But then Rob Gardner says, Terry Funk! There's a minor pop. But he comes down to the ring, and the fans begin to boo and chant, we want Flair.
Yeah, that happened. Now, before we move on, because this is a very long segment, and if I try to go back over everything, I'll forget some stuff. The one line of dialogue that I did write down that you did not is that I called him Bob Gardner, maybe it's Rob, either way.
It's Rob.
Since the writers with ironclad contracts have arrived, it has been a time of turmoil for WCW. Well, who's the dipshits to give him ironclad contracts then?
I was just going to say, we're supposed to feel bad for you fuckers. You signed him to ironclad contracts. That's your problem.
Yes. So
don't take it out on me.
So he's horrible. Terry Funk comes out. The indie guys playing Terry Funk's personal security detail. This needs to be screen capped till the end of time. The worst collection of haircuts I've ever seen.
Oh, there were some bad ones.
Like giant, like hair-sprayed afros. I don't even know how to describe some of these. They come out like not single file, I guess double file, 2 rows of them. And I was looking left and right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and every one is somehow worse than the haircut of the guy in front of him. It blew me away. So Funk cuts a promo. Okay, a terrible, awful show, but I'm a fair man. Terry Funk cuts good promos.
He's very good.
Breaking news in 2019. I love wrestling, he says. I love real professional wrestling. I love real pain. I love real desire, dedication, and real personalities. Not the paper personalities created by writers. Goes off in the NWO. They're fat hogs following behind the slop wagon. But Russo and Ferrara aren't throwing out slop. They're throwing out easy money. He'd like to shoot a bottle rocket up their ass and blow their brains out. But he can't do that. I thought he said you can't blow the brains out, but he says, no, I can't do that without help. I need an enforcer. He brings out Arn Anderson. If you thought they were chanting for Ric Flair before. Bringing out Ric Flair's best friend did nothing to help. So Arn asks if the powers that be can hear this passion. He's running down the NWO, and finally the NWO comes out. And Bret runs down Terry Funk for being old. So Terry puts some stips on Bret's matches that sold out. Stip number 1. If the NWO comes to ringside and causes a disqualification, Bret will lose the title. Stip number 2. The special referee will be Arn Anderson. So for tonight, meanwhile, he noted that Jeff had talked about wanting to beat Sid's ass. He was going to give him a chance. It's Jeff versus Sid for the U.S. title in a power bomb match.
Yes.
As for Nash and Steiner, he says, you are in the tag team tournament, but I promise you will get screwed.
Okay. And actually, Nash cut a hell of a promo afterwards.
He did.
Yeah. First time I've ever said that, I think.
Says, I thought you were dead, Terry Funk.
Which I can't figure out why, because, I mean, he's getting a tag title match tonight. He's in the tournament, so I don't know what he's so mad about. I guess the promise of being screwed.
I guess. Says they're both dead. Threatens to kidnap David, and then everyone is screaming at each other.
Why?
Because David
is Arn's godson.
So he's going to kidnap David as a hostage.
Okay. I see.
To hold power over Arn.
Okay.
They go to commercial. They come back. Kevin Nash, Arn. It's Arn and Funk having a conversation outside. I heard 0 words of this. And Funk finally tells the security to take off. They are looking for Ric Flair. Or, well, David Flair. I'm sure they found Ric. They'd be thrilled with that, too. World Tag Team Championship Tournament match.
Dude.
Buff Bagwell and Chris Kanyon versus Norman Smiley and Asia.
Yeah.
I'm going to read this again, because that's... You'll think I'm joking.
Please don't.
Buff Bagwell and Kanyon versus Norman Smiley and Asia. Kanyon is a promo saying, I'm from Hollywood, and Buff, I know you've made movies, and your movies suck. All right, he's right on that one. Says, you did help me advance in this tournament. I owe you thanks. As a token of my thanks, here's a bottle of champagne.
What an idiot.
You'll never guess what happened.
Bagwell breaks the bottle over his head.
Now, we had our long discussion about sugar.
This was definitely a fake bottle.
This is absolutely 100% a fake bottle.
Yes.
But they claim they used a fake bottle last week, and the fake bottle still busted Bam Bam Bigelow up. So stop using fake bottles, too. Would this show have been a disaster if no one got hit in the head with a bottle?
If you would have drank some of the champagne and then blown in the guy's eyes, maybe?
That took you 0 seconds to think about.
Yes.
All right. So Norman's in a mascot costume. Not in armor. Not like a football pads or hockey uniform. He's dressed as some Wildcat Willie or whatever. They're doing this match. He accidentally hits Asia with a mascot head. Buff hits a blockbuster and pins Norman. Now the Revolution are having some kind of fight with each other. None of whom were in the match.
Yeah, Bagwell worked the entire match by himself, beat 2 people that are in this world title tournament. His partner is dead.
Mm-hmm. Hacksaw attacks everyone. He gets beat up. The Filthy Animals made the save. Even though Buff was out there and could have made the save, he did not. That was one segment, everybody.
Too much shit happening, I wrote.
That was one segment. Arn looks for David Flair. The NWO looks for David Flair. Arn and Terry look for David Flair. Daphne finds them instead. Nash and Steiner versus the Harris boys. So Nash grabs a baseball bat. The Harrises duck out of the ring. The Varsity Club attacks them with chair shots. They throw into the ring. Scott Steiner hits the ring and pins one of them.
At which point Tony Schiavone said, and I quote, Someone explain this to me. Well, they're in the finals.
Do you remember...
The show is wretched.
Way back in...
I don't know what else to tell you.
October, when the World Heavyweight Tournament was going on...
And we thought it was the worst ever?
We thought it was the worst thing of all time.
This is 10 times worse.
There were probably 5 matches in that tournament better than the best one in this match.
Yes.
This is nothing but bullshit after bullshit upon bullshit.
This is the worst
bullshit.
tournament I've ever seen.
It's the worst competitive event I've ever seen. It's astonishing how terrible this tag team tournament is. Terry and Arn try to reason with Daphne. She's crazy. She cackles and laughs and leaves, but then she is abducted by Jeff Jarrett, and the camera sees this and captures it and then turns off. Does nothing to aid the young lady. Buff Bagwell and Canyon versus David Flair and Crowbar.
So before the match, Canyon is going to jump Bam Bam.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Vinny, please, the mic. Canyon is going to jump Bagwell, but Bam Bam Bigelow attacks him, gives him a suplex on the metal ramp.
It's been a half hour since the bottle was broken over Canyon's head.
Yes. So then he's going to give him a slam off the stage through a table. We've seen this a million times in WWE. There's padding everywhere. There's multiple tables. They stack them up together. They try and make it as safe as possible. There's one table over the cement. They throw fucking Canyon off the stage. He goes through the one table like butter, and he fucking crashes on the cement. I think he was killed. He's laying there dead. He does not return for the match, obviously.
Did you mention the way he bounced on the suplex on the stage?
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
So, for the last 20 minutes, the NWO and Arn Anderson and Terry Funk, the whole fucking world's been looking for David Flair.
Yeah.
He's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Well, here he comes.
He just walks out.
Walks out with Crowbar.
He just walks out.
And they have David Flair and Crowbar versus Bagwell in a tournament match for the World Tag Team titles. Arn and Funk come down. But before they can do anything, out comes Vampiro.
I'm sorry, who?
Vampiro.
Vampiro, you say?
Vampiro apparently has a problem with somebody. I think they said David. I don't know why. I have no idea what's going on. Bagwell has no idea what's going on. Bagwell turns and goes, Shivani, what's going on? Shivani says, I don't know what's going on. So Vampiro just starts wrestling. And Bagwell's like, go Vampiro. So Vampiro's doing this match, and out come Arn and Funk, and they start talking to David. And Vampiro's yelling, saying, get the fuck away from my match. I'm having a match here. Bagwell yells at Vampiro for yelling at them.
He's not making any of this up, people.
No!
This is what happened on the show.
And finally, he can take no more. And so Bagwell decides, even though I have won matches by myself in this tournament, and I could be, by myself, the World Tag Team Champions, I could enlist my mother to be my tag team partner again. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give Vampiro my blockbuster, and I'm going to walk out.
He leaves.
He just walks out of the tournament, up the ramp.
He cares no more for the World Tag Team titles.
David pins Vampiro. Fuck this show I wrote. David and Crowbar are in the finals.
I went with fuck all of this.
Yep, David and Crowbar are now in the finals. And then the NWO comes out with Daphne.
Oh, that's right, there's more.
Yep, Scott Steiner says, these flares always hung out with the most ugly women. This bitch, he says, is uglier than your mother. He then threatens to gang rape Daphne.
Yeah.
They drag her to the back.
He says, who's going to get to her first, you or us?
Yep. They drag her to the back. Flair's going nuts. We never found out what happened. Did they gang rape her? What's going on?
It's possible. I cannot tell you they did not.
I've never seen a show so bad. I say that every week.
Here's the amazing...
More amazing than what I just recapped? Please. I'd like to hear it.
I'm trying to maintain my composure. So they have threatened to David Flair's face to literally molest and violate his girlfriend and dragged her up the ramp.
Yeah.
David Flair and Crowbar go in hot pursuit, but they don't go up the ramp.
No.
They go off through a side door somewhere.
Well, you know, there's...
Where the fuck are they going?
They're crazy.
What is wrong with you people?
I don't know what's going on.
Rob also does not know what's going on.
No.
But the monitor is blinking on and off.
I did not touch a fucking thing.
Okay. We'll let it go.
Let's do our best. You text Tony.
You text Tony.
All right.
Hey, listen, I got the audio here.
Audio's what people really pay for.
Yeah.
All right, so, did you catch here during all this mayhem with Vampiro and Arn and David Flair and Terry Funk?
Did that help? I just wiggled a cord.
No.
One of the announcers, I'm not even sure which one it was, outright said, quote, "There's so much going on, you can't keep focus."
Yeah.
Correct. That is factually accurate. David hunts for Daphne. Sid Vicious versus Jeff Jarrett in a powerbomb match.
Sid in a neck brace.
Sid comes out. He's got his wrestling boots on. He's got his trunks on. He's got his leather vest on. His wrists are taped. He's tan. He's sweaty. He's super duper intense. He's got a brace around his neck.
Around his neck.
Okay, beyond the absurdity of a man doing a pro wrestling match while in a neck brace. Forget that. He's Sid.
Yeah.
You know what Sid's really, really bad at?
Everything.
Yes.
But I love him.
As it turns out, holding his neck still. A common Sid thing, a Sid mannerism, if you will, is to look to his left with an intense stare.
Yes.
And then whip his head around to look at the fans on the right. And then whip it back.
Yes.
He's got a neck brace on. I am trying to figure out this entire match. Are they this dumb? Did Sid...
No, Vinny. Stop right there.
Okay.
He doesn't have a bad neck.
Okay, so...
He has a burn.
Okay.
So he can still move his head.
Okay.
It's just a burn. Now, why he's wearing a neck brace over a burn,
Okay.
I don't have any idea. Shouldn't it just be bandages? What is a contact burn?
Compression burn, I believe.
Compression burn?
That's what I was told. So they're doing this match. They brawl on the floor. They show a bunch of power plant dudes in the front row. I saw Mike Sanders. I saw Chuck Palumbo. Oh, Mark Jindrak was the other one.
I can't find this anywhere on the internet. I think they made this up.
They may have made it up. So here's how the ref gets bumped, everyone. Sid, in his neck brace, throws Jeff Jarrett into the ropes. Jeff rebounds, runs at him, does a baseball slide through his legs, and he kicks the referee in the ankle. This causes the referee to spring through the air.
Well, it's heel ref Slick Johnson.
I see.
Although I don't know if we're supposed to be
crazy.
heel
Rob,
ref.
have you fixed the monitor?
He didn't do anything. It just fixed.
Yes, I did.
Excellent job, Rob.
Well done,
The
Rob.
best producer we've got. Any problem? Shazam.
Rob's all over it.
He's got it fixed.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right. So the ref gets bumped.
Rob, you understand that if the monitor would have gone upside down and the picture would have gone like this and had snow and been black and white, it's still better than this Nitro we watched, so I got nothing to bitch about.
The ref goes flying. He's down. I guess the fact that the heel ref makes some... Well, no, it doesn't make sense because Sid hits a power bomb. There's no ref. The ref recovers. Bret Hart comes out. He hits Sid with a baseball bat. It's a DQ.
A DQ in a powerbomb match?
It's a DQ.
Fuck you.
In a powerbomb match.
I hate this show.
Oh, it's awful.
This show is utter shit.
It's amazing how shitty the show is. Then, why does everything have to happen? EMTs come out to tend with Sid, who has, after all, been struck with a baseball bat. And so Bret Hart and Jeff Jarrett beat up EMTs with baseball bats.
Yeah.
Why do they do this?
Because they
Did we even talk about when the EMTs came to check on Bret earlier and the NWO beat them up too?
They're edgy.
There are innocent victims
I know, it's stupid.
being taken out left and right in the show with no
They're
effect.
trying so hard to be the NWO in 2000. It sucks.
David and Crowbar hunt for Daphne.
Did they ever find her?
Which leads to Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner versus David and Crowbar, who gave up on the hunt. We got a match to wrestle.
They gave up on this. Hey, to them, these titles are more important than their girlfriend.
The same titles where Rick Steiner got himself DQ to get out of this tournament.
Vinny,
where
it doesn't matter what the other people think
Buff
of the
Bagwell
titles.
walked out of the tournament.
To David and Crowbar, these titles are the most important things in the world.
Including Daphne.
More power to them.
I hope she dumps them for this.
Hey. Dude, according to my notes, a cursory glance here, I don't think we ever saw Daphne again.
The NWO may still have her for all we know.
What do you mean for all we know?
No, we did. We did by the end. I'm not... Okay. They're doing this match, right? Scott can't wrestle. It's Nash beating up two geeks.
Steiner is saving the match on commentary. He said the word bullshit at least twice.
Like 5 times.
Talking about this show.
He was
including noting, what is a Hurricane Rana? It's a Frankensteiner. Yes. He's furious.
Yes. There's a fan who's totally in Steiner's face, and Steiner's totally in his face. There was no doubt in my mind it was a plant, and Steiner was going to kill him, and it never happened.
Oh, disappointing.
Just a stupid fan. So Nash is beating up two dudes. There is no ref. As noted, Nash and Steiner are going to get screwed. Nash doesn't care, just makes them look like total clowns, Crowbar and Flair. Arn comes out in a referee shirt. He hits Nash with a crowbar. He puts David Flair on top, and he counts the pin. This is the finals.
The winners and new World Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions of the whole world.
Yes.
David Flair and the Crowbar.
They're the best tag team on earth.
Yes.
There's no one better.
No, they ran through everyone. They ran through everyone in this tournament.
So at this point, Jarrett did come out with Daphne. Now, I don't know exactly how it went down, but Jarrett comes out with Daphne. I look at my keypad to write down what's happening. I look up, and suddenly David is attacking Arn with a crowbar.
Yes.
In the interim, I don't know what happened.
Yes.
So David and Daphne do leave together. The NWO start beating up the old men all over the place. This goes on much longer than the actual match did. They're beating up one of them in the ring. I guess they're beating up Arn backstage. Nash goes to powerbomb Funk. Funk deadweights him. Nash is left holding Funk upside down for a while, and then, in maybe the most impressive physical thing Kevin Nash ever did, he took this dead weight and herked him up into a powerbomb and got him down without killing him. So Arn is in the trunk of the car. Do you know how I know Arn's in the trunk of the car? Because the producer tells Tony who tells me. They didn't show Arn being thrown into the trunk of a car. There's just a car there, and we were told Arn is in the trunk. Bret and Jeff want to get in this car and leave. And they look around, and Scott and Nash are not there. And they look around, they like bang on the hood. Bret walks over to get them. Finally, Steiner emerges, and they're about to get in the car. There's still no Nash. They look around like, where the fuck is Kevin Nash? Nash saunters out. I don't want to alarm you. He's not in a hurry. And eventually he gets in the car, and they leave with Arn in the trunk.
I got 2 facts, and we can get the show over with. David Flair and Crowbar are better than the following teams.
I'm listening.
The team of Kevin Nash, which is how this started. Later, Scott Steiner was added as his partner. The Wall and Sid Vicious.
Yes.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Rick Steiner and Berlin. The Harris Brothers. Meng and Fit Finlay. Do you remember any of these matches, by the way?
Bits and pieces.
Dean Malenko and Conan. Mike Rotunda and Buzzkill. Buff Bagwell and Canyon, Disco Inferno and Big Vito, Jim Duggan and Perry Saturn, Asia and Norman Smiley, Midnight and Lash LaRue, Harlem Heat.
Did we need all these teams?
And Vampiro and Evan Courageous. Those were the individuals, men and women, in this eclectic tournament. And do you know, Vinny, and this is not Vince Russo's fault because he's about to go home, but between now and the end of 2000, there are 9 more tournaments in WCW.
Okay. We seriously need to take a pool. Will there be a tournament worse than this one? I don't think it's possible.
I do not think it's possible.
There was nothing good in this entire tournament.
But are you aware,
guys
Vinny,
left and right were walking out of it in the middle of it,
that coming up in just a couple of months now, there's another World Heavyweight Championship tournament?
Well, yes, because this is the go. Was this the go home show for Sold Out, or is there one more? I think I had maybe a few more actually, but yes, I'm going to give him a spoiler. We'll let it go. If you
Fuck
don't,
it. Let's do that. Let's do the song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How long does this go?
I can repeat it. It's on a loop.
I bet it takes 3 times. The finishes on this bullshit show were Pin after a cheerleader was abducted by prudes. Pin after 2 guys were beaten unconscious by 1 guy who was not in the match. Pin after interference by 4 men and a foreign object. DQ or something in a match where I'm not sure who was in it or if it even started. Pin after 1 dude hit his partner with a champagne bottle and another dude hit his partner with a mascot head. Pin after 2 dudes were attacked with chairs by 2 guys not in the match. Pin after 1 dude, I can do it.
God, do it. Finish.
Pin after 1 dude got slammed through a table, but then another dude came out to take his place. But then in the middle of the match, he stopped wrestling to yell at old men. So he got beat up by his own partner, who then left, and the replacement got pinned, and they had to pause the show just to write this finish down. DQ in a powerbomb match due to baseball bat shot after the guy who won had already hit a powerbomb, so he got the win anyway. Pin after 1 dude beat up 2 dudes. Pin after 1 dude beat up 2 dudes by himself.
They did a fuck finish and the guy won.
Yes.
Oh, God.
That happened. Pin after 2 dudes... Let's start over. Okay. Pin after 1 dude beat up 2 dudes by himself. But then a crooked ref hit the ring. Hit the 1 guy with a crowbar, so the 2 geeks are now the best tag team in the world.
Hold on a second.
I have never seen so much bullshit per minute.
I didn't even realize this kid did this finish report. They did Sid versus Jarrett in a powerbomb match.
Yes.
Okay? Sid hit the powerbomb, but there was no ref preventing him from winning.
Oh my god.
But then someone hit him with a bat and he won anyway.
Yes.
Oh. Listen, first off, we're ahead of schedule here, but let's not spend an hour on this show.
Oh, no, we're not.
This show was better than last week.
I don't know.
And
Whatever.
look at your finishers report. It could not be worse than last week.
The finishes were better.
Thank you. Okay, this show was better than last week. It's still really weird.
It's incredibly weird.
As you know, I was gone for a couple weeks.
Why did you come back for this?
It's funny because Lance informed me this is going to be a completely different show for you. This was a completely different show for me. I missed 2 weeks.
You had no idea what was happening?
Hey, listen, this show didn't end with David Flair and Crowbar winning a tournament to become the tag team champions of the world.
That's true.
This show was better.
No one was counted out of nowhere.
They had a real main event.
I suppose.
Nobody was counted out of nowhere. It was the end of Bret Hart's career. That was a downer.
That is a downer.
Just watching him
Still working.
get fucking beat up and whacked in the head over and over for weeks.
Yeah, bumping everywhere.
Clips of his almost final match on Thunder, where he is in a hardcore match with Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Hitting each other with shit, whacking each other in the head, falling off things.
It's been like a month.
I cringed every movement that Bret Hart made.
Yeah. WCW Monday Nitro number 225, also January 10th of the year 2000. So, the most baffling, incomprehensible recap segment ever aired. On Thunder, the NWO tortured Arn. Terry Funk and David Flair tortured Jarrett. There's these two, Nash and Funk, fighting at the pay-per-view, where if Nash wins, he's a commissioner. Also on Thunder, Funk is fighting Bret. There was, as I wrote here, unlimited bullshit.
Unlimited? I'm afraid there was a limit, Vinny.
The NWO was out there, and David was out there, and Arn was out there. I had no idea what was going on, and that's the end. This would have been significantly better not recapping Thunder. So Funk arrives.
It couldn't have been worse than the opening match.
Funk arrives with Larry Zbyszko, Paul Orndorff, and Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
The opening match is, as we eventually learned, Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn versus Kidman and Conan versus David Flair and Crowbar in a 3-way Falls Count Anywhere match.
A 3-way tag team Falls Count Anywhere match.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the bad part is...
The
first bad part was when two teams are in the ring and they start wrestling, And then a third team minutes later hits the ring, and I'm going, what is this match? Are these guys running in?
I actually wrote down it was for the DQ, and
it wasn't.
Informed they were part of the match.
Why do they do this?
I don't know.
This match was a absolute disaster.
It was.
So it was what they call a tornado match.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tag in. You're all just in the ring at the same time. And let me tell you what happened. There's 6 bodies in the ring. There's a 7th body outside screaming her head off constantly. I was ready to kill myself. And the guys in the ring just, I swear to God, they all just start doing random moves. They're doing moves here.
Did anyone else hear Tim Flowers' voice screaming, "No bumps in a battle royal"?
Oh, my God. Like, they would just do a move wherever they
Sanders
were.
is suplexing guys.
It doesn't matter if there's a body they're going to land on. It doesn't matter if there's a person in the way. They just are all doing moves. There's bodies everywhere. Daphne keeps screaming. I'm losing my mind. This match was like a parody of professional wrestling.
As we often say
This
on
was
my
like
show.
a match you would see in a movie where they made fun of wrestling and they made fun of wrestling fans, which ironically was Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
This match could have been in that movie. This was terrible.
This could have been in the ECW arena with Natural Born Killers playing in the background.
That would have been 1,000 times better.
Absolutely.
A billion times better. Is it that hard to have 4 guys brawling on the floor and 2 guys take turns doing stuff? And the answer is no. They've been doing it in Mexico for a century.
The answer, Vinny, is yes. We're in WCW here.
So, in the middle of this, Perry Saturn decides, I shall now go for a walk.
Yeah.
And
Maybe he's frustrated and
he may
needed a
have
walk.
been tired of
He
this
took
show.
one of the Vinny walk.
He may have been a Vinny walk. It would have been better with music. He just starts going on a trek up the rafters. And he goes up, up, up. He goes north. And he goes west, I suppose, on his journey.
That kind of music.
That'll do for now. And he's like Frodo going to Mount Doom. He's on a mission, a long, arduous mission. So eventually he gets where he's going, and he looks down, and Shane Douglas and Dean Malenko have laid out Rey Mysterio. Rey. Not in the match, by the way, Rey Mysterio.
No, he's just out there on crutches.
Yeah. They have laid him on a table. Saturn jumps from, 15 feet. And it's a gimmick table. There was something underneath it to help, but for some reason they decided, Saturn, you shall take a 15-foot fall through a table today. Through Rey at a table. Mm-hmm. And he did this.
He sells his guts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, you're a moron.
And they pinned him.
Yeah.
The
In
finish
storyline,
was
they
you're
pinned
really
Saturn.
dumb.
Yeah.
They pinned Saturn.
Saturn got pinned because he did a move.
Yeah, he landed on a guy who wasn't in the match.
Right.
But it hurt him.
Yeah.
And so they threw David on top, and so they're still the champions of the world.
They're the best tag team on Earth.
Yes.
The best thing
In
is,
the universe. We have no proof there's wrestling anywhere else in the universe.
You don't.
the best thing was the ref was in the way, so they pushed the ref out of the way and then threw David on top, and the ref had to come back.
Stretchered out Rey.
Yeah.
What a waste of the $1,000 for that ambulance.
Yeah. So I know we got to move on, but this is the go-home show for Sold Out 2000.
Yep.
Which is probably the biggest disaster for pay-per-view there ever was anywhere, where everything that could have gone wrong did.
Is that where Sid killed himself?
I guess that didn't go wrong. That goes wrong.
It was later, right?
I think that maybe sold out the next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Good to know he's around for a while.
he's around for a year. So anyway, Shane Douglas is on commentary plugging the Revolution will have a mystery partner at Sold Out. I don't know what the match is going to be or who their opponents are, and it turns out none of it matters. I don't think the mystery partner ever showed up.
Oh, this is the Benoit Sid sold out.
Benoit Sid sold out, yes.
Oh,
That means Benoit's gone in like 2 weeks.
No, he's gone. No, this is
Next
the last
week.
show.
Oh, yeah.
he
yeah.
walks out.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forget if he's on Raw next week or the week after.
He wins the title and then.
And never is gone. Never is in WCW again.
Right.
Yeah. So, let's see.
Oh, God.
There you go.
Are we getting that Benoit Hunter match soon? Where
Yes.
Benoit could be carried by Triple H?
Yes.
Okay, I can't wait.
On Thunder, we are told there were more problems and more friction between Harlem Heat. So I'm thinking, okay, problems and friction. There's a misunderstanding. There's a verbal debate. There was an accident in the ring. No, the problems and friction are Stevie Ray pulled out a weapon.
Yeah.
He hit Midnight and Booker T in the back of the head with a weapon.
Yeah, it's friction.
He attempted to kill them.
Friction.
Problems.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem, Vinny.
It is.
Page and Bagwell were brawling on Thunder. They have an interview segment tonight, and if they cannot conduct themselves as gentlemen before the 5-minute interview segment, they'll both face a $50,000 fine.
Have you brought up that announcers were talking about how Funk told them that he's booking the show on the fly?
I did not mention that, but that is around here.
He's booking the show on the fly. What a shitty... Jesus.
He's the babyface GM.
He was brought back last week and was just like beaten and humiliated and made to look like an idiot. Now he's booking the show on the fly.
Yeah.
Who hired him?
I don't know.
Bill Bush?
Apparently.
Fire that guy while you're at it.
Scott Steiner arrives at the building. It's his birthday, so the NWO got him a present, which is a bunch of women's.
Major Guns is there.
Major Guns is there.
Who was the redhead?
April
Hunter, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm guessing Madusa was somewhere there. There was like a dozen women here.
I didn't see her.
I could be wrong.
I remember her.
All right.
Yes.
Regardless, a bunch of fine-looking ladies here for Scott Steiner on his birthday, and they're happy to see him, too. Everyone's having a grand old time. It's this huge party with a bunch of cool-looking dudes and a bunch of hot babes, and then they cut to fucking Terry Funk and his crew. They may as well have been in rockers. They're sitting there drinking Metamucil, grumpy, scowling, not saying nothing.
They're disgusted.
Who in the fuck are you going to cheer for? I'm cheering for the guys having the party. I cannot believe my eyes on this.
I could. You know what you're watching here?
World
Championship Wrestling in the year 2000, booked by Vince Russo.
I forgot.
Why are you shocked?
I forgot. Ray is loaded into an ambulance and taken away.
Oh, God, Oklahoma's back.
Steiner tells the women he will pace himself, and he takes two of them into his locker room and disappears. Has the others waiting literally in line.
Yes. There's a receiving line.
This fucking True. This Oklahoma segment.
God damn it. First off, he challenges Madusa for Sold Out for her Cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
Let me start over again.
Oklahoma, the writer,
not a Cruiserweight,
challenges Madusa, the female,
right,
for the men's Cruiserweight title.
Yes.
At the pay-per-view. Okay.
Right.
Then he issues an open challenge to any woman who thinks they can beat up Oklahoma. How long did it take me to run that down? Like 10 seconds?
Sure.
Fucking guy's out there for an hour, rambling on and on and on. Asia finally accepts.
He was talking about Ralph Cramden and Archie Bunker
from the 50s.
Year
the
two.
Fucking honeymooners.
It is now the 21st century. He's talking about ancient Rome, he may as well have been. So yes, Asia comes out. So Oklahoma plays scared at first, then he jumps her in behind, they have a brawl. In the middle of this brawl, Madusa's music hits. She comes out dressed like Lady Gaga. I don't know.
Okay.
Lady Gaga apparently watched Nitro. I don't know why she came out. There's a brawl going on that does not involve her. She comes out.
She's facing him at the pay-per-view.
Is she? He challenged her. She never said anything.
Well, I mean,
she comes out.
Writer.
We almost missed this because we're seeing Madusa's entrance, but Oklahoma takes his bottle of barbecue sauce, and every week a bottle must be broken over somebody's head.
Yep.
He breaks his sauce over Asia's head. Why? Why does it have to be every week?
Because
the novelty is worn off for me. I'm done with bottles.
Well, don't know what to tell you. They probably bought like a 12-pack of them. You got to do a different bottle of something every week.
There's still bottles left. We had to truck these across the country. So then, so Asia's out covered in barbecue sauce. Madusa checks on her, gets in the ring. Oklahoma beats her up, hits her with a broom.
You know what it is, Vinny?
Steals the belt.
Vinny.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is Jeff Jarrett. Madusa is China. And they're having a good housekeeping match. He's just bringing over all of his ideas from the other company.
Yes, so.
That's exactly what's happening right here.
And pushing his friends. The grumpy old men walk backstage. The NWO checks on Scotty. He's not coming out of the dressing room. Things seem to be going well in there. Dude, when you say this is a better show than last week, Brian, this segment I offer as exhibit counterpoint A.
Well, this was bad.
Yes!
I mean, it went 2 hours.
The greatest thing is, it was bad, and it went a really long time.
This is a 2-hour night show that felt like 4 hours, mainly because of this segment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Funk wants Nash and his crew. They call themselves the Old Age Outlaws.
I found these guys off the unemployment line. We are the Old Age Outlaws.
These are the baby faces.
My jaw's hanging open.
It gets better. So Arn does his promo. It's actually a pretty good promo. He threatens to...
He says, I feel ill. Yeah. He's old, grumpy, and ill.
Paul introduces to some of his power plant trainees, including Elix Skipper and Sean O'Hare.
Palumbo was
Palumbo's there.
Palumbo was there too?
Sonny Siaki, Kwee-wee.
I missed both of those.
Yeah.
So the NWO comes out. Kevin Nash then cuts the absolute worst kind of heel promo. He says, Funk, you either have Alzheimer's disease or brain damage, or both. I may have to beat your ass tonight. I'm gonna win the commissionership of the pay-per-view next week. You're old, he says, and you get your clothes from Target. Look down in the ring, and there's Funk.
Old.
He's fucking old.
Poorly dressed.
He's got his clothes from Target. I mean, maybe. Probably Value Village.
We just found him.
It's like, dude, you fucking just buried these guys. He just buried them.
That's what he does.
And he's right.
That's the thing.
I understand the psychology of how it is a bad thing to point out your babyface's weaknesses. But look at these people.
Dude,
I was with Nash.
That's why you need to build him up somehow. At least mention he's a hardcore legend. He's crazy. You powerbomb him in his fucking head and he's still out there this week. He's tough as they come. This is not hard.
So Funk then books Jarrett.
Oh. As soon as he starts saying there's a series of matches tonight, I was like, oh my God. I remember this.
I did not.
I did.
Yeah. Says, you will face 3 of my very close friends. Jarrett demands who the opponents will be. So in an amazing coincidence, they have Jarrett, a Tennessee native. They are in Buffalo the weekend after the notorious Tennessee Titans Buffalo Bills playoff game with a very crazy finish that I will not describe because Brian will lose his mind. But suffice
I'm
to say,
losing my mind enough with this thing right here.
Suffice to say, they're in Buffalo and everyone hates Jarrett.
Jarrett wants to know who are my opponents. There's a long pause. Funk then says,
Okay, Funk must have forgotten his lines.
don't worry about it, he says.
He just starts repeating himself.
So finally he says Benoit's the referee.
No.
I'm not spending all night on this.
No, we have to let the listeners know how bad it was to sit through. He starts repeating himself, and Nash interrupts and says, hey, who's the ref going to be? Because Nash wants to go home. They say it'll be Chris Benoit.
I want to go home. It's Chris Benoit.
He also books Bret in a title match against Nash tonight. They laugh and say they won't do it.
Oh, now I need to stretch this out.
Okay.
Signs Bret versus Nash. Bret says, you're an idiot, you're senile. You're an idiot. That's what he says. He goes, you're an idiot, you're senile, and you're an idiot.
Yes.
Okay. Funk says, if you guys take it easy on each other, I will suspend both of you. I will suspend you for a year without pay, and Bret, you'll be stripped of the title. Nash says, I save my money. I don't give a shit. I'll take a year off. Bret says, I don't need the money either. I'll take a year off. Now Funk is an idiot.
Yes.
So he's like, fuck. I'll take your belt. So then, like, nothing is handled here.
No.
Steiner then cuts a promo, but they just play a tone.
He's bleeped.
Like no, it's not bleeped. They just play a tone the entire time. Like he's been swearing nonstop for like 30 seconds.
Yes.
One right after the other.
Well, one long bleep is what
So then Funk says, tonight, I will wash your mouth out with soap. I went, excuse me? I sat here for 20 fucking minutes, and the main event is you're going to wash Scott Steiner's mouth out with soap?
Yeah.
What?
Somebody saw The Christmas Story over the holidays.
So then, it's over.
15 fucking minutes.
15 fucking minutes. I still don't know if Bret and Nash are going to wrestle or if the belt's being stripped. I don't even think they ever figured that out in this segment.
No.
This sucked.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yes.
Horrible. Funk sends Arn to wait for the limo. Buff Bagwell walks. DDP walks. Arn finds the wrong limo.
Yeah, who was that?
Well, we're told here.
Who?
He opens the
Kimberly.
door and says, I thought it was somebody else. Sorry.
It was Kimberly.
They go to break. When they come back, there's Kimberly Page
Okay.
all dolled up, and they say
All right.
that was. They tell us that was Kimberly in the limo.
I missed that.
There's a Buff Bagwell that
Video package.
Thank you. Speaking of packages, in this line, Page says Bagwell is not big enough or whatever. This causes Buff Bagwell to go sprinting down the ramp as fast as he can to fight. Because Page said he had a small dick.
Yeah. It's fighting words, Vinny.
Page and Buff have an interview segment.
Okay, so the story is they cannot touch each other for 5 minutes or they'll be fined, what was it, $50,000?
$50,000.
Yeah, bullshit.
They put a timer up.
They had a timer up there. And I gotta say, this was a damn good segment.
Yeah.
Because they buried each other. They pushed every button to try to get the other guy to hit the other guy. The fans were totally into it. Like, I don't know why, but when DDP said he had a small dick, everybody gasped.
Yeah.
And when DDP called him a jack-off, they all gasped.
What about when he called him Puff?
And so here's the story. DDP is accusing Bagwell of having sex with his wife. Okay? Why didn't he just go to his wife?
He did say, I was in L.A. and I called you and said Kim and I were having problems.
Okay, but so ask her.
I guess.
Is talking off limits?
I guess the problems are so bad he can't ask her.
She's at the building right now.
He doesn't know that.
So Bagwell says, listen,
That's actually true.
we're friends. I'm a good listener. But we didn't do anything. DDP refuses to believe it. And Bagwell then says, listen, if Kimberly came up to you, was getting all hot and heavy, would you do it, DDP, if you were in my shoes? DDP says, no, I wouldn't. Bagwell says, I wouldn't either. DDP then says,
Okay.
They're both lying.
so you didn't do it? Bagwell says, no, I didn't do it. I've been telling you that. DDP doesn't believe it. He goes, the boys in the back are telling me you're bragging about how sexy Kimberly's birthmark is. The birthmark only I can see. And Bagwell goes, that's what this is all about? Every guy in the back has seen that birthmark. This is too much for DDP. He punches him.
The timer has expired by now.
Yes.
So
So he punches him. They have a fight. I like this segment.
Okay, I was bewildered. You have explained it to me now.
Yes.
Bagwell in particular left me baffled because first he was insisting he didn't do it. Then I thought in his speech about what would you do if there was a hot babe there and she was available, Mr. Party Man, Mr. Nightclub, what would you do? I thought he was, I don't know. I thought he was saying you do what I did. Then he said I didn't do it.
Yeah, and then he says, you're right, I didn't do it. So in storyline, we're supposed to believe that Bagwell honestly didn't do it.
Yes.
And DDP is like a crazy, jealous guy.
And I assume...
And let me tell you something, okay? Mm-hmm. And you probably remember this too, Vinny. In the late 90s, I mean, the women just changed in the locker rooms.
Yes, they did.
Oh, yeah.
Just totally naked, just right there in the locker room.
Yeah.
So when Bagwell's like, well, everyone's seen the birthmark, I was like, he's right.
Well, not only
Doesn't
that-
mean he slept with her.
She was also in Playboy magazine.
Yeah!
So that's going to be the payoff.
Well, I mean, that could have been airbrushed out. The point of this was, I mean...
There is no airbrushing in the locker room. Spray tan, that's different.
No, there is no airbrushing in the locker room. So that's the story.
So, that's all fine and dandy. But then, after he's been punched, Paige punches Bagwell goes down. Then Kim appears on the monitor. Paige, as Craig noted, he did not know Kimberly was there. He's surprised to see her. This lets Bagwell recover, pull out a police baton, and attack Paige violently with a weapon while insisting I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, now you've hit him with a stick. That's bad too.
Well, it's a different kind of bad.
It is a different kind of bad.
Yeah.
But it's bad.
He didn't sleep with his wife. He just beat him with a stick.
He just attacked him with violence.
Yeah, it's different kind of...
It's a different kind of bad.
Different kind of stick, yes.
I mean, come on. DDP was being an asshole here. Bagwell insisted he was innocent. Doesn't mean you should hit the guy with a baton, but...
Nash and Bret are backstage talking about how they can get out of this match. It goes badly. It leads to them bickering, and now they're going to fight. They just formed, 3 weeks ago?
How about that?
Arn, who is old and ill, is now outside bitching about the cold weather.
Yeah, they just made him stand out there waiting for George Steele to show up.
Car arrives.
Couldn't just have him walk into the damn building?
Should have been out there with a shawl.
I mean, Animal's furry.
Animal's very furry. I honestly forgot how furry Animal was until he got out there. So it's Jeff Jarrett versus a mystery opponent, which turns out to be George Steele.
62 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He hit Jarrett with a bunch of weapons. He ate a turnbuckle. He got hit with a guitar, but then Arn hit the ring, laid out Jeff with a spine buster. They put George on top. Benoit did the fastest count you ever saw, and George Steele pinned Jeff Jarrett.
Okay, you know, it doesn't matter, but like I could have sworn that when they announced these matches, like the first match was going to be a wrestling match.
Yeah.
The second match was going to be a bunkhouse match.
Correct.
They can't even keep that shit straight.
Yes.
They started with the bunkhouse match.
Yeah. Scott Steiner rotated women. 2 came out, 2 went in. Bret and Nash got taped up for their world title match later. Okay. What is Jeff Jarrett's motivation in the show? He has to wrestle 3 times to get beat up by old people. In the meantime, he's got to go back where Nash and Bret Hall are going to fight. But rather than try to make peace, he tries to get them to fight more. Tells Nash, we got to throw that Canadian goof out of there. And I think he's trying to drive a wedge between Nash and Bret, but Nash is like, well, I'm going to take the world title from him first. And this catches Jarrett off guard, and he's like, yeah, but then we'll throw him out.
I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea what they were arguing about.
No.
Funk sends poor Arn Anderson back outside in the January Buffalo air to wait for another goddamn limo. They couldn't all come together. Stevie Ray comes out for a promo.
Am I mistaken in hearing Stevie Ray say that they had been held down for years?
Right.
Did he really say that?
Probably.
They won the tag titles 10 fucking times.
They were the best tag team on earth 10 times. Says everyone got excited for Booker winning, quote, a no-good TV title because that's all they wanted you to have.
Oh, maybe Booker's been held back. I don't know what's going on.
So he starts to say Booker T is not from the hood anymore. He doesn't represent the hood. He forgot he came from the hood. And they zoom in. Steve Ray's wearing a Kenny Bernstein baseball hat. Now, I haven't been in the hood in a while. Maybe funny cars are a lot more popular than I remembered, but I don't think they are. Booker and Midnight come out. They try to make peace. Finally, Booker says, I'm not going to wrestle you tonight. I'm not going to wrestle you at Sold Out. He turns to leave. Stevie smacks him. Booker says, I will wrestle you at Sold Out.
Yes.
But this shit, he says, won't be fixed.
Yeah, let's make sure we mention that he called Midnight a Cracker Jack fruit booty.
Wow.
Now, what he said, I guess when he said this shit won't be fixed, I take it to mean our match will be real.
Yes.
Or maybe this shit...
I thought he meant their relationship.
This shit between us can be repaired. I guess it could be taken two ways. Jeff pleads his case to Bret. I still have no idea what's going on with this. Arn is just outside freezing his balls off. Mm-hmm. Jeff Jarrett versus Tito Santana.
Tito Santana comes out and I'm like, God, he looks great for his age.
Okay, when this started, like the first minute...
yes.
He was only 46.
Yeah.
I thought he was like 56.
Yeah.
He was only 46. He actually looked great.
He looked awesome at first, and then he tried to do the figure four, and he kicked it in the corner, and kind of like tumble over the rope to the apron.
Oh, this was the best.
That was the worst.
So, okay, first off, Terry Funk's doing commentary.
Yes.
Calls the NWO roid heads.
A bunch of roid heads.
But then he specifies it's hemorrhoids.
It's hemorrhoids between their ears.
Between their ears, yeah. So, at one point, he's going for the figure four, and Jarrett tries to boot him off into the corner. And I think that Jarrett thought, this is where I'm going to cut you off. Tito pulled a Vinny in the shoot battle royal and was like, I'm just going to keep going. So he leaps over the top rope, but he misses.
Badly.
He leaps again and misses. He leaps a third time and goes over. He ends up on the apron. Time stands still. Jarrett is standing completely upright, looking at Tito, like, what's happening here? And Tito just responds by going back, and he does a sunset flip. And Jarrett at the last second has to duck, and he flies over his head for a shoot sunset flip from the fucking outside. Gets a 2 count, and then Jarrett finally cut him off. I died laughing this. Tito was going to get his shit in.
Yes.
It didn't. I want to know what happened if Jarrett had not ducked. Because he was going for this move. It was up to Jarrett to get out of the way.
So Jarrett takes over. He hits the stroke, but they pull him off the pile. Benoit chops him. Orndorff hits the ring, hits a pile driver. They put Tito on top. Another fast count. Tito wins.
That was an awesome pile driver.
It was a fucking great pile driver.
Yeah, it was great. And then to the back. Immediately.
To show Tank Abbott walking.
Yeah.
And then Tank Abbott comes out to cut a promo.
So Tank Abbott was...
Yes.
Very, very nervous, it seemed to me.
Yeah.
He's pacing back and forth. He's nervously rambling his lines. He's challenging Duck Dillinger. That's how he's burying him. Mm-hmm. He's calling him...
He called him Duck Body many times. I didn't get why.
Because he's Duck Dillinger.
Got it.
Get it?
Duck Body and Duck Boy. He did say at the pay-per-view he's going to kick, quote, Kick Boy Huckleberry Finn's ass.
Yes. Jerry Flynn.
You have to say he's
Huckleberry Finn.
He's fighting Jerry Flynn at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, then he's going off about Duck Dillinger for a long time. Finally, Doug Dillinger comes out. Tank keeps baiting him. Finally, Doug can take no more. He throws a punch. Don't do this, everyone. Probably in 2019, probably still a bad idea to throw a punch at Tank Abbott.
I don't know.
He takes Doug Dillinger down. Security and cops subdue him. They are cuffing him. At this point, Jerry Flynn runs out, kicks him in the head, and runs away. And Tank just gets him and laughs this off. Tank's promo was I was expecting much worse, I'll say that.
You were?
Yes.
Wow. Can
But
imagine.
the actual angle, Tank looked like a maniac. It took a dozen guys with cuffs to lay him out. Then Jerry Flynn ran out to kick him in the head, and Tank laughed this off. Now these two maniacs are going to fight on the pay-per-view.
Well, this is the man Russo wanted to make champion.
Hey, you know what?
When the shit hit the fan.
In hindsight, there are worse ideas.
Vinny, the problem is you're looking at this through 2018 eyes, when every geek and their mother had been the world champion.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, like, the idea of Jeff Jarrett as champion was like, Jeff Jarrett? The world champion?
That is true.
So, yes, Tank Abbott as champion was a bad idea.
Well, I would say, Tank Abbott's a better idea than Jeff. I would say Tank is a better idea than what they ultimately ended up going with.
Sid?
Yes.
I strongly disagree. Sid is an excellent champion. He is the personification of professional wrestling, Vinny. Do not denigrate him.
Jeff is backstage muttering to himself. Jimmy Snuka arrives. Bret puts on his gear. Kevin Nash stretches.
Okay, hold on. Before I even go one word further, they show Bret, and he's like taping up his feet or something. Then they show Nash, and he's sitting on the ground, and he's like reaching down and stretching. The very next shot is Benoit on his stomach.
Yeah, face
And I'm
down
like,
on the ground.
What stretch is he doing? I swear to God, I thought he was doing some sort of weird warm-up.
He's face down on the ground, and the camera's like next to his head.
Yeah, but he's like...
It's not that the cameraman walked in.
He's like in a half push-up position.
Sorta.
I'm thinking he's doing a stretch or he's doing a warm-up. They alert us he's been beat up.
It's not like the cameraman walked in and just found him.
No, they put the camera on the ground.
The camera walked in and said, "Oh, Chris Benoit's been laid out. We'll get a good shot of it. Then we'll cut to it." So Benoit's laid out. As these two, Jeff Jarrett versus Jimmy Snuka in a cage match.
Snuka, 56 years old.
Yeah.
Even though Benoit got knocked out, he just lurches down to the ring.
Can I just say, by the way, that of all the people to be a special referee and wear a ref shirt that's actually too big,
Yeah.
they couldn't get the super tight ref shirt for Benoit?
No. So, oh, man.
Do you want to get into it?
I mean, we had Benoit and Jimmy Snuka in the ring together.
Yeah.
That's weird.
The most uncomfortable Nitro moment of all time.
I think one of the more uncomfortable wrestling moments of all time.
Well, yeah.
Especially because the two of them...
Ganged up on together.
No, not just that. The two of them did suicide dives off the cage.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, let's just cut to the chase.
Mm-hmm.
So Snuka does a big splash off the cage onto Jarrett,
Yeah.
which apparently gave Jarrett a concussion, but like he landed perfectly.
Yeah.
So I guess just the
It turns out doing a splash off a cage is actually dangerous.
I guess maybe it is. And then Benoit did the diving headbutt, counted the pin. So Jarrett beaten again by Jimmy Superfly Snuka with help from Chris Benoit.
And all the other old age outlaws were out there too. It's
Yes.
like an 8-on-1 or whatever.
And by the way, forget everything you know about Snuka and Benoit. Let's just talk about the action that occurred in this ring. A 56-year-old guy climbed on top of a steel cage and did a big splash. Another guy on the top of this cage was followed up with a diving headbutt. So you got this cage and there's two dudes on it. The place is going nuts.
Yeah.
The building is shaking. One guy jumps off, boom. Other guy jumps off, boom. This guy counts the pin. It was to the back faster than you can fucking imagine.
Yeah.
There's no replay. There's no recap. There's nothing. Do you know how many times I've seen Jimmy Snuka come off the fucking cage in 1983?
Thousands.
A billion times. This guy comes off a cage, 56 years old in the year 2000. They got away from that so fast. I couldn't even believe my eyes. I'd have been furious.
Well, it's very important they show Bret Hart. And I say all the time, so-and-so walks. Bret Hart is power walking towards the ring area. That's what Tony Schiavone said.
He was power limping.
Fuck
be
this
honest.
show, dude.
Nash is still walking. Scotty is starting to get worn out, but the women throw champagne in his face to wake him up. So it's Bret Hart versus Kevin Nash in the main event. Kevin Nash walks out. They get the Wolfpack music. He's not a fast man. He saunters out. It takes a long time. He does his whole entrance. Suddenly they cut backstage. Larry Zbyszko and Paul Orndorff have Scott Steiner tied up in the locker room. Scott Steiner's wearing only boxer shorts and his sunglasses.
As one does.
As one does. And Terry Funk walks up and, as promised, puts a bar of soap in Scott Steiner's mouth.
He washed his mouth out with soap.
He sure did.
Hey, you know what? On Raw, they promised me that we were going to get to see Kane beat up fake Mankind, and they didn't deliver.
They failed.
On Nitro, they promised that Terry Funk would wash Scott Steiner's mouth out with soap. They gave it to me.
They did.
I'll give him credit for that.
Fair enough.
You know what else I got to say about this Bret Hart-Kevin Nash match?
What's that?
Bret had, I don't even know how many concussions he'd suffered in the last 2-week period. He was ruined. His career was over. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time, his career ended as a result of all of these head injuries. He still went in there and had a better match with Kevin Nash than any match I've seen Kevin Nash in years. Can you imagine?
That's probably true. I was bored to tears by it, but it is Kevin Nash.
Dude, it was a perfectly fine match.
They just did a bunch of random shit and nobody cared.
I was bored as well.
It was very long. Went much longer than it needed to.
When's the last Kevin Nash match? Singles match that lit your world on fire.
I agreed you had a point there.
Yes, it was a very good match.
It was the best Kevin Nash match I saw.
Yes, with a multiple concussed guy.
I did. To be fair, I did note it's kind of amazing. This is Bret's last real match, and though the match as a whole is not entertaining, Bret's execution of these maneuvers remains awesome.
Yeah,
he just do a little elbow.
He was incredible. He's one of the all-time greats.
He really, really was.
And when you take into consideration the state of mind he was in, while doing it,
yes, an all-time great.
So the announcers point out how weird it is. These guys just got back together 3 weeks ago, and they're already fighting.
You don't say.
Now that who knows? The world fell apart for WCW after this, so we'll never know if they had a plan to go somewhere with it. But it was weird and random. Okay, let's see.
Did you notice Bret was in a T-shirt, jorts?
Well, I think the gimmick was he was not prepared to wrestle tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I just figured this is where Cena got his gimmick.
Bret Hart did wear jorts long before John Cena was around. That's true. So eventually, Arn comes out. He attacks Nash with a pipe. Sid shows up. For the first time in the show, Sid shows up. And in fact, it was not until during this match they pointed out, hey, folks, on the pay-per-view on Sunday, it's Bret Hart versus Sid for the world title.
Yeah.
Now, just as well, they didn't plug it.
Even they figured out the finish.
It didn't happen.
That they couldn't figure out on Raw.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this went on for a bit. The cage lowered. I forget what the ref won. It doesn't matter. Sid chokeslammed and powerbombed Bret and made a cover, and Arn counted 3.
Well, the ref, Arn Anderson comes down, and he hits Nash with a lead pipe.
Yeah.
He's in a ref shirt, and he tells Charles Robinson to get out of here.
Okay.
He tells Bret, I owed you. I still have no idea for what. I don't even care. Sid comes down, kicks a chair into Bret's head. They lower the cage. Sid hits a power bomb. Arn counts the pin. So Arn saved Bret, but then allowed Sid to kill him and counted the pin.
I don't know.
Yes.
And then Terry Funk comes out with a branding iron that's on fire and burns Kevin Nash in the stomach.
Yeah, Nash is on his back. Listen, I don't want you to really brand somebody. Nash is on his back after he got laid out. And he looks like he's 15 months pregnant.
Sure.
He's just got this giant lump on his stomach right here. He's flat on his back with this giant lump. And
15 months.
And Nash comes down. And,
he has a child. He should know how this works.
Vinny, you're missing the point, you fucking moron. He looked twice 9 months pregnant. That's how big his belly was.
15 sure is twice.
You know the point I'm trying to make, you idiot.
He's very pregnant.
Yes, he's massively pregnant. He's pregnant like a whale gets pregnant.
How's that?
Gigantic!
I see.
A big lump.
Spectacularly, I would think.
Yes, that's what
Must
Nash
be quite
looked
a
like.
sight.
And they branded his guts, and that's the end of that.
That's the end. That's how Nitro went off the air.
Yeah, the show ends. The show ended, everybody. Terry Funk branded Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Yep. Double
What?
cross.
And I thought, is Sid the champion right now? He just pinned Bret.
I thought
Stranger things on Nitro have
I
happened.
thought this was a title change.
Yes.
But it turns out it was not.
So, I think now that we're done, Brian, you were right.
Thank you.
This was a better show than last week's show.
Well, I want to say it was better. It wasn't as bad. Okay. There's a big difference.
Key distinction.
Yes.
But God, that fucking Funk promo in the middle.
It was really
just went
horrible.
on forever.
Terrible.
He was 20 when it started.
I mean, part of the problem, Vinny, is I watched Brock and Braun Strowman last night.
How was that?
They didn't do anything.
Braun forgot every fucking line. Heyman's trying to lead him through it. One of Braun's lines is, "Oh, Brock, you're going to stand behind your advocate." And Brock's clearly in front of Heyman. And Heyman's like, "I'm behind him." It was so bad. So looking at this, like, this was bad. But, like, wasn't that bad.
It was worse.
I don't know if it was worse, but they were both fucking terrible. All right, you ready?
I'm prepared.
All right, here we go.
The finishes on this show were pin and a falls count anywhere 3-way tag match when a guy jumped out of the balcony to put a guy who was not in the match through a table, and then the jumper immediately got pinned. Pin after interference and fast count. Pin after a lot of interference and a fast count by a crooked ref. Pin after a lot of interference and fast count by a crooked ref. That's a mistake. I did that twice. No finish due to pinfall in main event after interference and more interference and a cage and a flaming branding iron.
See, look, that was 29 seconds, dude.
There was no matches on this show.
The first hour, they did that 3-way tag match, and then there's no wrestling for the next hour.
Nitro.
Nitro number 226, January 17th of the year 2000. Before we begin, I feel it's important to recap the utter mega disaster that was Sold Out 2000.
Oh, yeah, I got the results here. You want to do it?
I got them written down too. If you want to, go ahead.
Well, here's what we had on this Sold Out show, the most disastrous show for, like the last couple months. Kidman beat Dean Malenko.
Excuse me. Kidman and Malenko.
Yes.
You say, yeah.
Yeah. I'll actually read straight from the Observer. Kidman beat Dean Malenko in 236 of a total screw-up.
Yeah.
If you recall correctly, the idea was no ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's right.
Yes.
if you ended up on the floor, you lost.
Yes.
Dean forgot, ended up on the floor, and he lost.
And everyone looks at each other for a while, and the ref says, well, ring the bell. And Dean says, fuck this place.
Yeah, did Dean forget or did Dean forget?
No, Dean forgot.
I think Dean legit forgot, but
Yeah,
he
he forgot.
didn't bother him at all. He forgot.
Yeah.
And he walked to the back, and he walked right to Raw.
We had Vampiro winning a 3-way over David Flair and Crowbar,
Okay.
tag team champions.
See, this is listed on Wikipedia as a handicap match. So I'm assuming Vampiro was now the tag team champions.
No, he's not the tag team champions, Vinny. Those are
3-way.
defended on the Nitro show.
I see.
Big Vito and Johnny the Bull beat Ron and Don Harris.
In 933.
Yes. Oklahoma won the Cruiserweight Championship, beating Madusa in, quote, 256 of a basic disaster. Not an advanced disaster, a basic disaster. Brian Knobbs defeated David Finlay, Norman Smiley, and Meng to retain the hardcore title. You want to know a weird one? I don't remember Finlay coming back from his career-ending injury like 3 months later.
Yeah.
And wrestling nonstop.
Yes.
I thought he had that
In
injury.
hardcore matches.
And we never saw him again till like the mid-2000s.
That's what I remember too.
What the fuck's going on? Kidman beat Perry Saturn in a bunkhouse match, which was, quote, no different than any other match.
Excellent.
Booker T beat Stevie Ray via DQ when Big T debuted, the former Ahmed Johnson. I'll talk about him later.
Yes, we will.
Tank Abbott knocked out Jerry Flynn 139. Buff Bagwell beat DDP in 11 minutes. The Wall beat Kidman in a cage match. What?
Kidman worked twice?
3 times. He was in the Triple Threat Theater. Oh. He fought Malenko, he fought Saturn, he fought The Wall.
Kevin Nash pinned Terry Funk to determine the WCW commissioner in a one-sided sad squash match. That sounds awesome.
Oof.
Chris Benoit beat Sid to win the WCW title. And that was it.
And then he walked backstage. So here's your belt, folks.
That was the next day.
I see.
Yes. So for those of you that don't know what happened, here's the quick and dirty. Vince Russo was ousted. They kept telling him, I guess, that he would have 6 months to turn this around. You have 6 months to turn this around. 6 months to turn this around. Then they decided you don't have 6 months to turn this around. So, we're going to do a committee. If you want to be part of the committee, you're welcome to be part of the committee. Apparently, Russo didn't want to be part of the committee. So Kevin Sullivan was put in charge, and Benoit, who was living with Sullivan's wife, wanted nothing to do with Sullivan.
Sure.
Because last time Sullivan was booking, Benoit got beaten for a straight year. And so his buddies, just ironically, like the Elite, they all decided they were going to stick together, no matter what happened. So over the weekend, there was like 20 guys that decided, we're going to go and I'll demand our release. So by the time the day came, there was like 6 of them. And they weren't given their release. They were all told to go home. And they wanted Benoit to stay. They wanted him to be the champion. And he said, if they're going home, I'm going home. And so eventually, the 4 of them got their release. And they went to WWE. And Sullivan took over. And that's the gist of the story. I'm sure as we get going, I'll remember more things. But that's basically what happened there. Russo is out. Sullivan's in. Benoit, Malenko, Saturn, Guerrero, all gone. And this place is in disarray.
Now, they didn't have like a 6-month no compete. They were on.
They were gone.
Dude, they're 8 days.
They're there next week.
That's insane.
Yes. Wow. You'll recall WCW was an insane place. So back on Nitro. Kevin Nash arrives. He's now commissioner. Brett's just gone, and he is in fact just gone.
Oh, yeah, Brett's gone. Forgot to mention that. He's got a serious concussion.
He didn't ask for his release. He just...
At the time, they thought he'll be out of action about 3 weeks.
Oof.
No.
Didn't work out that way.
Yeah. So it's Nash, Steiner, and Jarrett now are all together. Best part of this is they get out of the limo, they walk into the building. Jarrett extends his hand to Nash.
Yes.
And I think it was an honest-to-God mistake, but Nash is looking the other way and just leaves him hanging for like 10 seconds as they walk into the building. Kidman versus Psychosis.
I got to talk about this. So, Russo's gone. They lost the core, their best workers, all in one fell swoop. But you know what? Kidman goes out there with Psychosis, and they have a match, and they wrestle.
Yep.
And it's really good.
Yes, it is.
And a man beats another man.
Yeah.
The fucking fans loved it.
Yeah.
They were super into it. And I just watched this and thought, you know what? If they would have got somebody with a brain in, they could have turned this ship around. There's still life right now.
There's still Goldberg.
There's Goldberg. There's all the big stars. There's still tons of guys like this that can work great matches. Like, this thing was fucking salvageable here today. Sad.
So Kidman, in his 4th match in 24 hours, goes splat on the floor right away. This was, in fact, the best match on Nitro in months. They're talking about the pay-per-view the night before. A few of the comments. They announce that due to injuries due to Jeff Jarrett and Bret Hart, there was a few substitutions and changes last night.
You don't say.
Like the entire card being rebuilt top to bottom.
Yes.
Then they discuss Oklahoma as the new Cruiserweight champion. It's a controversial decision. And then Mike Tenay, the professor, the man who brings history and facts to this broadcast, says, I'm not sure what that controversy is about. So Kidman eventually... Actually, this is amazing. I've seen 500 Kidman matches, and I've seen 499 of them. I go to powerbomb him, and it doesn't work, and Kidman hits a facebuster instead.
Yes.
This is the one time where a guy went to powerbomb him, and Kidman hit the facebuster and then pinned him.
Yes. No shooting star.
No shooting star press.
Good.
Yeah.
He keeps killing himself.
And everyone else. This is a fun opener.
Yep.
Now they begin to discuss the state of the company and what's going on. Bret and Jarrett are injured. They have been stripped of the world and U.S. titles. Chris Benoit defeated Sid Vicious in a classic at the pay-per-view, but today there's been a reversal. Arn Anderson was the special referee in the Chris Benoit Sid Vicious match.
What a fucking promo this guy cut.
Cuts a great promo about the show. He had the honor, the distinction, and the responsibility of being the referee in the world title match. Gave his word. He would call it right down the middle.
2 3/4 stars, by the way, according to Dave.
Which I believe was the best match of his career up to that point.
I don't know about his career, but
In a long
he had
time.
some good matches with the Sean.
Okay.
That's true.
Vinny, if you don't mind. Brian, help me out on the timeline here. When did Benoit ask for his release?
Monday afternoon. Well, he didn't ask for his release. He just went home.
Okay.
And they ended up giving it to him.
They were going to keep the belt on Benoit, but they did this at the pay-per-view?
Yes.
I see.
Just in case.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Arn says...
Because over the weekend, everybody already wanted to leave. So they thought, well, give this fucking guy the title. He'll be a mark.
Yeah.
He won't leave.
They actually
This didn't come out of nowhere. These guys have been wanting to leave
they
for a
actually
while.
covered their butts, and it turned out that it actually worked for them.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
It's maybe the one time. So Arn says that the match was so great, I forgot my own responsibility as I was watching this action, watching these bumps, he says. And I made one right call. Sid hit the chokeslam, Benoit got his foot under the ropes, and I saw it, and I stopped the pin. But then I made one wrong call, and Benoit hooked the crossface, and I did not see Sid Vicious's foot under the ropes. And Sid Vicious tapped out, but that never should have been the finish. I blew it, he says. I'm man enough to say so, and I want to puke about it because I took Benoit's greatest moment away from him. Now it's like the match never happened. We don't have a champion, and my best wasn't good enough.
This was such a great promo.
It was, and I'm watching this whole thing, and I'm thinking, based on this promo, it appears they thought they might get Benoit back.
Sure.
Okay.
Except he vacated the title. He gave it away and left.
Yeah, but they clearly
They were being just in case.
I guess. So they showed pictures from the match, and when they said Sid's foot was under the ropes, it was outside the ring, coming
It was
up
on
the
the
other
floor,
side.
I think.
Yes. It was in the crowd. Nash is backstage. He goes into his office. He berates the Harrises. They're still going to be his bodyguards because I guess now he's in charge and they're getting paid. Mean Gene is interviewing Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray and Big T come out. That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Mean Gene says Stevie Ray has accused Booker T of...
Hold on, go back. So first, Gene's with Booker T.
This is Booker T.
And they're
My
talking
notes are all
about
fucked up.
They're
I'm sorry.
talking about Big T.
This is my fault.
No, you're not. You're not. You just missed a segment. Gene's with Booker T backstage.
Yeah.
Booker T says Harlem Heat knew Big T from back in the day. Apparently, he's been in prison.
I thought he was still locked up.
He's a guy they decided they didn't want to hang around with. They apparently watched his WWE run.
I see.
Then Stevie Ray and Big T come out. Okay? I got a couple of questions. Could somebody help me out here?
Sure thing.
First off, Big T's enormously fat now.
He's very large.
gained weight in all the wrong places. He's wearing this fucking fanny pack.
That is as big as his gut.
What in the fuck are the lumps on his arms? He's got two giant lumps sticking out of the side of his arms right here. Okay? There is a muscle here. That's not what it is. It's like a lump like the size of my fist on the side of his arm on both sides.
I thought it was his triceps.
No, it's
looking that
fucking
close.
bizarre. It's weird. Weird shit's going on with Big T. Okay? So anyway, Booker and Midnight come out, and Stevie tells him to send his rat to the back. Whew. Fighting words.
Bobby loved that line.
He sure
big
did.
rat.
Big rat.
Big rat.
So Booker sends her to the back, and they attack him. Big T falls down on his very first move in WCW. Falls right on his ass doing a powerbomb.
That's right.
He does.
This leads to a fucking match. Both men in their street clothes.
Yes.
Big T, Ahmed Johnson, working in his fanny pack.
Yes.
Booker wearing his finest.
Absolutely.
Inside the fanny pack is a slapjack. Stevie distracts Booker. Big T hits him with the slapjack, gets the pin.
The ref did not look in his fanny pack for a gimmick.
Did not.
And then Stevie says, Booker, if you had more street smarts, this never would have happened. Believe it or not, I like this feud.
Okay.
But everything about it sucks.
You know why you like it? Because it does make sense.
Yes, but
Okay.
fucking Big T and Stevie and Booker T and Stevie Ray and Midnight?
Yeah, we're not sure how she fits in. But Booker T and Stevie Ray obviously have a history. Obviously have a history with Big T. And there's all...
I mean, the only
full
one that's
circle.
any good in the ring is Booker T.
Yes.
Like, Midnight's very athletic, but, like, she's out of the business in a year.
Yeah.
Stevie's terrible. Big
Yeah.
T's far worse. And he's... Oh, God
The only thing I can
almighty.
add to this is when they were showing pictures and highlights of them sold out of the Booker T Stevie Ray match, and it was hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure Booker T actually had a top on. Of all the people in this feud to not wrestle bare-chested.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. The Italians gave Disco a pep talk, which led to Disco Inferno versus Vampiro. So first, I think Vampiro broke Disco's neck on a Uranagi.
Yes.
Then he about broke his own neck, missing a twisting somersault senton.
I actually thought this was a decent little match.
Those are the only two things.
Crowd was hot.
The crowd's very hot. Vampiro, Vampiro is fun to watch because he's different than anyone else.
That's for fucking sure.
He's got good size. He's very athletic. His fundamentals are terrible. His charisma is great. But he's never trained the right way, so he doesn't know what he's doing. He just goes out there and does awesome stuff. And the Italians interfere, so they got thrown out. Disco got thrown out of the ring. The Italians went back, threw him into the ring, and Vampiro grabbed him, hit a nail in the coffin for the win. And then he went to celebrate with the fans. A weird babyface Vampiro is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're in the Kevin Nash's, I don't know if he's still in the NWO or not, but they're in Kevin Nash's office. And Steiner says, Kev, I got some women for you.
Yeah.
And he brings in the same women he was with last week.
We got Major Guns. We got April Hunter. We got Madusa.
Yes.
She was there, okay.
And a fourth girl I don't recognize. Who was the fourth one?
Shakira?
There's one when Nash saw her, she says, my buddy at home likes this one. Is that the future Mrs. Shawn Michaels?
No, it's definitely not her.
Okay.
She's been gone from the Nitro Girls forever.
Okay.
And then later, Steiner comes out with Madusa and a blonde cheerleader. I don't know who the blonde cheerleader was either.
I don't know. Yeah, but point being, Steiner had all these women last week, and maybe I'm confused. Didn't they help set Steiner up for Terry Funk to wash his mouth out with soap?
Well, there were like 20 girls. So I guess these were the ones that were on his side.
I see.
I guess. I don't fucking know.
Okay.
New booker, dude.
3 count, thanks to the fans for all their mail. I am sad that 3 count music and dance.
I was so mad they edited
Off
out
the
their
show.
performance. Like, dude, it's just night and day. Evan Courageous is night and day as part of 3 count.
Oh, yeah.
He's out there cutting his promo. He's all full of charisma. They're getting ready to dance. I'm all excited. And they just cut some shitty fake David Flair crowbar music.
Yeah.
That was disappointing.
So it's David Flair and Crowbar versus Shane Helms and Shannon Moore. Helms and Moore are very talented guys who, in their national TV debut, the biggest match of their careers, and they're just killing themselves trying to make an impact. And the whole fucking match is just showing standards and practices in the aisle, and Evan stalking Daphne, and David attacking Evan on the aisle. And every once in a while, they cut to the ring, and there's be a body flying, and you might see it land.
Shannon Moore hit a huge somersault plancha on this.
Yeah, and he took a giant backdrop.
Yes.
These guys were just destroying themselves.
This was totally fine. Even David, he goes way too fast, and he's not great, but he wasn't hideous in this match.
He's not great.
He was okay.
Well,
he did a very nice back suplex.
Okay. I was going to say he did very little, but
I feel that if they would have sent David Flair somewhere, if they would have actually trained him and sent him on an excursion somewhere and had him work a bunch of matches, I think he actually could have been pretty fucking good.
Well, didn't he end up in...
No, he did nothing. He became a ranger.
No, before that, though.
They sent him to the woods?
Basically, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a park ranger.
He was in Heartland Wrestling.
Yeah, but he was signed for WWE. He went there for a little while, but
yeah.
They didn't do anything with him.
Okay. Well, Undertaker beat him up. That's why I remember. Let's see, what the hell happened in this match? David attacked Evan with a crowbar. The wrestler Crowbar beat up Shannon and Shane, and they pinned Shane with a reverse DDT. Oh, the best part of this, David at one point leaves the match and he comes back. So the spot's going to be that Shannon will hit the ropes and David will pull the ropes down.
Right.
But David is late.
Yes.
So Shannon just launches himself into the air over the ropes, and then David reaches up and pulls him down. Crowbar pins Shane with a reverse DDT. I thought this match was a mess.
All right, I'm gonna change everything around here, so get ready.
Okay.
So we're going to skip a segment, then we're going to go back.
Okay.
So Tank Abbott kills the Maestro.
Okay.
13 seconds.
Okay, cool. So now we're going to backtrack.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about 2 segments back to back. Nash, Steiner, and Jarrett are in the office. And the ladies leave. And I can't remember what Nash was trying to say, but he totally fucks it up.
Old age outlaws.
He tries to say old age outlaws, and he fucks it up. Mm-hmm. And he fucks it up twice to such a degree that he goes, ah! And he lays back, and he just lays back for a second. Then he just keeps going. And Jarrett and Steiner are trying so hard not to laugh. Mm-hmm. They don't retape it.
Was this live?
I don't know.
It had to have been.
All I know
live.
is Nash was so funny in this segment, okay? Because every now and then, he's a really funny guy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then he comes out for his stand-up comedy act as the new GM or whatever the fuck they call it.
But
yes, Vinny.
Tank Abbott had a showdown with Meng and Norman Smiley.
Okay,
yes.
Gives a shit. This fucking segment with Kevin Nash
Yeah.
was the longest, shittiest, fucking most horrendous bullshit segment I've seen in like a week on this show. This fucking guy comes out. He decides he's going to be funny. So first, he starts saying, well, I'd like to give Norman Smiley some courage. I'd like to give... who gives a shit what the rest of them
Knobbed a brain, and Abbott needs a heart.
My God, I'm like Oz. Ha, 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 ha. I'm like, dude, I hope you're done.
Oh, no, he was not.
He was just getting warmed up.
So then he says, Jeff was screwed last night. I'm going to give him his championship back. And gives him back his belt. Fans chant Goldberg. He says, I'll fire him. It's time, he says, for some new rules here in World Championship Wrestling. We're going to start with mandatory health exams. Rectal exams, he says, before every match. Ha, ha, ha! They cut to Sid backstage. He's fuming and shaking his head.
So the
I
one
will
guy...
not have a finger up my ass.
One guy too cool to go to the ring.
So he says, this is Nash, everybody must bow to me and refer to me henceforth as Lord Master. I'm like, is this fucking thing over yet? This has been like 5 straight minutes. Then he says, regarding the World Championship, nobody is allowed to ask me about the World Championship. My official statement, I'll let you know. I'm like, okay, we got to be done. No more illegal substances in the locker room, says Kevin Nash. At this moment, dogs are going through the locker room. They'll be taking away every bottle of Viagra. I'm sorry, Lex. Ha ha ha! Okay. Lex is like, no, it's not me.
Lex's reaction was
Lex
great.
sold it. It was awesome.
And then Heenan says, I always thought Lex was a stand-up guy. Mm-hmm. And there's a delay. There's a pause for like 3 seconds, and then one of them just goes...
It fucking keeps going.
Yes.
Nash says, seriously, Buff, are you doing Kim? I'm like, fuck, what am I doing with my life? God damn it.
Tries so hard to find Buff in the ring. I don't know if he was out there. I never saw him.
I've got an idea for a main event of the show tonight. I'm like, so in 2 minutes, because you've been out there for fucking an hour. Tonight, he says, Buff Bagwell will be facing Diamond Dallas Page in the main event. And the special guest referee will be Kimberly. Mm-hmm. Finally, he's done. I can't even tell you how long this went. I tried to stretch that out like as long as I fucking could. I still didn't even get like a quarter of the way through.
No.
He was out there fucking forever.
Yep.
Nobody's laughing.
No.
It's not funny at all.
No.
He's dying a death. But you know what? God bless the guy. He just fucking kept going. He thought he was funny, I guess.
Sure.
More power to him. That segment sucked.
It did.
That segment fucking sucked.
So did you mention that Kim was going to need a special ref?
Yes. I did, Vinny. Yes.
You mentioned that Nash said he had picked out a special outfit for her.
Well, we learned that next.
He nested here, but we didn't in fact learn it next. When Kim goes into Nash's office, he gives her a ref shirt, says this is for the match we be reffing in the Buff Bagwell DDP main event, and she's disgusted to hear this, and then Nash wants to know who was better, Buff or Dallas, and she just storms out.
This next match.
Before we get to the match, Brian, I want your description. Actually, that's a Scott Steiner thing later. Never mind, we'll get to it later. So, Varsity Club promo, Rotunda buries Ohio State. Steiner calls the fans butt nuts.
Butt nuts.
Butt nuts. And this leads to...
Not making this match up, everybody.
The Varsity Club versus Masahiro Chono and Super J.
Yes, who's not Mexican, so don't roll your R.
Jeff Farmer.
Masa Chono versus Super J, who, by the way, they just decided to reveal that's the former NWO Sting.
There he is.
Why do they say that?
I don't know.
Was it that important that we know?
The only thing that I can figure is they thought, if people don't know who these men are, they'll turn the channel.
What?
So let's tell them who Super J is.
No one will want to watch Super J, but they'll want to watch NWO Sting.
Now, the reality is, I was really excited for this match.
Yeah?
And, like, for a while, it was pretty goddamn good.
It was something new.
But then it went as long as Kevin Nash's deal.
It was much worse.
And this fucking finish. So, Rotunda, the ref is distracted. Rotunda hits Chono with a small package.
That's right.
Okay? He's got him in a small package. And, like, the best thing about this small package, I know people hate when I do things on video you can't listen to, but I just got to show this. Mm-hmm. Chono's on his back, and, like, he's there for so long, and he just starts going... like he's trying to kick out, but he's fucking trapped.
He was pinned for a 50 count.
Oh, yeah, he's down there for like an hour. So he's just laying there, waiting for the referee. And finally, Super J turns the pile over. Mm-hmm. And now, Chono is unstoppable.
Right. Mike Rotunda's small package is so tight, not even he can escape.
Yes, he is fucking trapped.
By his own small package.
The referee counts the pin. He has been defeated.
Yes.
Dude, millions of people switch channels.
There was a spot about minute 7.
But you know what was best about it? Hold on.
I was talking.
Hold on a second. I got to finish the finish. Jeez. As ridiculous as this is, okay? He's in a small package for an hour. It gets turned over. Now it's unstoppable. He gets pinned, and the audience goes, they pop for it. That's when I knew there's hope. Somebody could have saved this fucking this company here.
Anyway, around the 7-minute mark, they brawl outside.
Oh,
and when I say brawl, I mean they fell outside. There was a point where Chono and Steiner were looking at each other less than a foot apart. They weren't throwing bombs.
Nope.
They weren't scowling. They were looking at each other. And then they kind of locked up and hugged. And then they stopped and looked at each other again. This was like my 9th grade dance without music.
I like when they're on the floor and Steiner clotheslines Chono. Rick Steiner, they call it the Steiner line because it's so devastating. And Chono just grabs him and whips him into the barricade. Mm-hmm. And then Chono and Steiner decide to brawl like halfway up the aisle. So just having this terrible brawl. And I look over their shoulder, and way, way, way in the background, Rotunda just has an abdominal stretch on. You know how they tell young wrestlers, don't do too much. Make everything you do mean something.
Well, they didn't do that.
This was the opposite of that. This was, don't do anything that means anything. Make everything you do mean nothing.
When they're brawling on the floor, I don't know what was going on, but there was communication with the ref, and there was a lot of standing around.
Yeah, it's probably go fucking home.
It was so bad.
So no one's doing anything to get cheered. No one's doing anything to get booed. The only heat this got was mild, boring chants. And then eventually they do that finish, and it's over.
Vinny, Sid face of the wall. I fucking told you they bought like a dozen fake bottles. And they had to go through all of them.
I was going to ask, why is there a bottle in every show?
We got another fucking bottle here, and there's another one later in the show. Somebody go back and count the number of bottles. I guarantee they bought a dozen.
Was there a bottle here?
There was a bottle here.
Sid Vicious in the wall.
Yep.
There's no DQ, apparently.
A bottle was broken over the wall's head as they were brawling over by the announcers.
Oh, no. That was just like a plastic water bottle.
Okay, fine. Well, they added another bottle
There was
later.
a bottle later.
All right.
Okay.
One way or the other.
That's why I was confused. All right.
Yes.
So, in the middle of the match, they cut backstage. Not like a split screen or a picture-in-picture. They just cut backstage to show Kevin Nash meeting with the Italians. They all talk about how great Vinny Vegas was. And he tells them to go kick Sid's ass. Now, the Italians want to make sure they get their target right. They want to make sure they correctly identify Sid Vicious. Big, tall guy?
Well, he's in there with the wall.
Sure.
That's actually fair.
Yeah.
So
they could be mistaken for each other.
So Nash says, yes, go kick his ass. And they say, right, boss. So they run down. And this is actually a very important point. What's going to happen here, everyone, is Sid's going to be wrestling a match, and his opponents are going to attack him, right? Mm-hmm. But in between, Sid hits his move, a chokeslam, and he gets a pin.
Yes.
You can do a finish and still do a post-match beatdown.
Sure.
You don't need to do 75 DQs in every show.
That's true, Vinny.
They did something right.
That is correct.
God bless them. So the Italians attack Sid. He destroys all of them. He destroys Johnny the Bull. He destroys Big Vito. Disco decides discretion's a better part of valor. He walks out. Did we talk about how over Sid was?
Yeah, it was super over,
People are
dude.
jumping up and down for these power bombs.
He's fucking Sid.
He's fucking Sid.
He's the only hero left on the show.
He is. When Brian says this company is salvageable, Sid is one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And you know another reason why it's salvageable? Scott Steiner.
It's true.
Okay. I must talk about this commercial briefly. They had a commercial where Sting used a credit card that had a picture of his own face
Right.
to buy a portrait of his own face.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
Okay.
wonder if you had to show ID.
Brian, what was your reaction to Scott Steiner's entrance for his promo?
Well, I mean, I just saw Madusa and the blonde cheerleader there. I paid no attention to anything else.
Okay.
What did I miss?
Scott Steiner killed the Ohio State mascot because he's from Michigan. He had a Michigan jersey on.
Brian
and they're
doesn't
in Ohio State.
understand this.
Yeah,
I
was-
somehow missed this, actually.
You missed the whole thing. It was right at the very beginning.
What's
it was
the
still.
mas-
They didn't even wait for the close up. It's still a wide shot of the ramp.
What's the mascot's name? Is it
It's a Buckeye,
Brutus Buckeye.
Brutus Buckeye.
right?
Scott Steiner destroyed.
Brutus the Barber Buckeye? No?
No.
Okay.
So Scott Steiner's got his Michigan jersey on. There's Madusa, she's waving the Michigan flag, and there's a blonde being a Michigan cheerleader. Steiner's promo, he had to bring some hot Michigan women with him because all the women in Ohio are ugly, but he still invites them to come to the back and have sex with him later.
Sure, yeah.
He sings the University of Michigan fight song, which includes the line where they are champions of the West in Michigan. He goes outside, all the fans are giving him shit.
Dude, if you live in Michigan, you're champion of the whole West. That's a winning.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
So he has a horrible brawl with a fan.
Oh God, this fan is this alleged fan. Decides he wants to fight Scott Steiner. Steiner drags his ass over the barricade, beats the shit out of him. Guy ends up with a bloody nose. They drag him away and they cut away. For those of you that don't remember, Scott Steiner in 2000 is fucking amazing.
Yes.
He's awesome. And he was one of the best things in WCW. This was his greatest period ever, the year 2000.
Yeah.
He's going to have fucking battles with Goldberg, battles with Tank Abbott. He's the best. There's shit to look forward to in the year 2000.
And then he goes to WWE.
The brawl was horrible, and I was trying to figure out how this guy got a bloody nose. And when Scott yanked him over the guardrail, he really yanked him over the guardrail and then fell on him.
Oops.
Fell on his nose. That's how the nose got bloodied.
Steiner was very scary.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
no doubt about that.
I don't know if you're aware of
No
that or not.
question about that. Lex and Liz are walking backstage, and then we get Lex Luger versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
With the broken bottle.
There's a broken bottle here. Bam Bam comes out in a shirt reading, "Nowhere is safe." Now you recall, a few months ago, Bam Bam Bigelow got counted out of anywhere.
Yes.
And went to nowhere.
Now it's safe.
Nowhere is safe because
Yep.
Bam Bam Bigelow is there to protect it.
Yes.
That is the message on his shirt. Nowhere is safe.
Yeah.
He's protecting nowhere.
You have to lose, but you'll be okay there.
You'll be okay. It's safe there.
It's safe there.
Because Bam Bam Bigelow will protect you.
You have to sacrifice a little, but once you get there,
Yes.
it's safe.
So they do this match. Lex is getting less mobile by the day. Liz takes the ref. Kenyon attacks Bam Bam. Lex breaks a bottle over Bam Bam's head because there must be a broken bottle on every show. And he pins him. There you go. Nash and his crew sit there.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that's all that happened. Buff versus DDP with Kimberly as ref. Has there ever been
No.
a worse
Never.
referee?
She's out there.
And Kim
This is
Page.
what Nash gave her to wear.
Has there been a hotter referee?
And actually,
Well, no.
Nash only gave her the half referee shirt.
She brought her own pants and thong.
She wore her own leather pants, thong,
Slingshot.
high heel boots, and like her boobs are hanging out. And like,
Her ass is hanging out.
I mean,
That's where Bobby said. Nice
how can I
slingshot.
say this nicely while you guys are being.
Well, we are
lectured?
accurately describing what happened.
So she can't ref.
No.
She can't ref.
No.
I realize why you're so incredulous about this.
She was a Nitro girl, Brian.
I don't care if she's a fucking tree. Okay?
Okay.
You hit the mat 3 times.
She's not a tree.
That's it. And actually, I apologize for that because she did, in fact, hit the mat 3 times when they were kicking out.
Sure.
So, like, literally the worst referee I've ever seen in my life.
Something went awry here.
I mean, she was
Yeah, Kim.
just totally out to lunch.
She, by this point, had been married to Dallas Page for several years.
Sure.
She had been at ringside for hundreds of matches.
That is a good point.
And she apparently had never actually watched one of them. She had no idea what a ref did, what the ref's purpose was, how to do it. I mean, literally, it was, in fact, too much for her. Like, Bobby was making a joke about how she forgot what came after 2, but that's what it looked like it happened.
Yeah.
And for a while, I thought, well, maybe she's trying to screw Buff, or maybe she's trying to screw Paige. Then I realized, no, she just has no idea what to do.
It's not even that. It's like, it wasn't even like when she counted, she would like swing her whole arm. It was the old weird one where you bend your arm and you go. And that's giving it too much credit there. I apologize. This was bad. It ruined. And you know what's worse? The wrestlers were trying to have a good match.
If you just watch their fight,
and
they're having a fun fight.
She totally ruined the match with her bad refereeing.
Okay, what happened at the end? She bumped into Bagwell.
So, okay, Buff hits the blockbuster.
Okay, go ahead.
Buff hits the blockbuster. Instead of making a cover, he goes to do his wacky little pose or something. But as he's doing that, Kim runs up and runs into him and gets knocked down. He throws a check on her, and then Paige hits a cutter, and Kim finally counts 3. Now,
well, you're kind of underselling it. She ran into him.
Yes.
To take a bump.
Yes.
Now, was Buff supposed to hit her and forgot? Or did Kim forget the spot and ran into him? Or is this all a weird schmoz where they were trying, him or her and DDP were trying to screw Buff?
I don't think Buff forgot because he hit his move.
It was very clear from commentary that that's what you're supposed to think.
You're supposed to think.
Is she helping her husband? Is she not?
Yes, you're supposed to think this is Kim's way.
The big question is, why should we care?
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Well, the reason we should care is if she's helping her husband, she's not doing Buff Bagwell. Or she's helping her husband and she is doing Buff Bagwell, but that's her cover.
God, I don't care.
You're missing the part about why should we care.
Understood.
I don't care.
I'm wondering what her motivation is.
This is the main event.
Understood.
Like, this is the main event of Nitro? DDP and Bagwell with Kimberly as ref?
Yeah.
And then this finished, and then they just went off the air.
And we still have no clue what's going to happen with the World Championship. We're still at, I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you. Well, listen, all I know is this show is not good, but there were things about it that were good.
Sure.
Given, I had no memory of what happened on the show going in, but I clearly remembered the clusterfuck that happened the night before.
Yes.
This was much better than I was expecting.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
It had horrible things.
It certainly wasn't exciting.
It had okay things. It had some good things.
Yeah, there were some good matches. There were some bad matches. There were some good angles. There were some bad angles.
This felt like a wrestling show.
It was a wrestling show.
That's nice.
Yes.
That's
now,
refreshing.
It could get boring in a few months here, but it was a nice change of pace.
Yes.
To have a wrestling match with wrestlers wrestling. I was going to say for wrestling belts, but we don't have any of those yet. They're still all held up.
The tag times were on the show. But
World title. All right, Vinny, are you ready?
I am. This will be not nearly as long as the last several months of Nitro finishes. The finishes on this show were clean pin, pin after weapon shot, pin after a guy's buddies fuck things up for him, but I think that still counts as clean, clean pin, knockout, clean pin that comes like 10 minutes after it should have, clean pin, pin after a bottle shot, and then a pin after a finish with the worst referee I ever saw.
Hey, there you go, everybody.
Why, thank you, sir.
Thank you for the update on those finishes, Vinny.
Technically, that's true. WCW Monday Nitro number 227, also January 24th of the year 2000. Show opens with a memorial graphic for Bobby Duncombe Jr.,
Yep.
who was on the show as recently as August.
Yes.
Yeah. Kevin Nash arrives in a limo with his women, by which I mean Major Guns and April Hunter.
Nash, Steiner, Jarrett, Hall, and numerous buxom women.
Each guy has his own limo.
Yeah.
And Scott Hall's woman on this evening was Victoria of WWE.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I thought it looked like her, but I didn't think it was her.
Lance actually pointed this out on Twitter.
Really? So it was her.
And she replied this is her one episode.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
I thought, God damn, that looks just like Victoria.
It is Victoria.
Presumed it wasn't.
Kaz Hayashi versus Psychosis. So
there's a tournament.
So Oklahoma was the Cruiserweight champion.
Well, Madusa was the Cruiserweight champion.
Yeah.
And then Oklahoma beat her.
Right.
Neither were... Well, one was a woman, one was a fat guy.
Not a Cruiserweight.
No, so...
Definitely a heavyweight.
They
just realized it was all stupid, and they said, fuck this. We're just going to start over. And they're doing a tournament for the now vacant Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, a tournament where we have no brackets.
No brackets.
We have no competitors.
We're only told there are 8 men.
There's 8 dudes. This is apparently 2 of them.
This is exactly 2 of them. Kaz Hayashi and Psychosis. Hoovie's out there. He's just being the juice.
Yes.
He's making fun of or stealing all of Rock's material. And these guys had a match for about 1 minute. It was hot, and then it faded fast. It's flat and lifeless.
This was not a very good match.
Nobody cares.
Psychosis and Kaz Hayashi. When it started, I was like, all right, new regime, 2 weeks in a row, opening with a hot match. I like it. But then, and this is not the regime's fault, the match did not click.
They did not have a good match.
Just a match.
No chemistry. Psychosis wins with a roll-up out of nowhere.
There was a hilarious spot where Psychosis goes to whip him into the ropes, and Kaz just ran and leaped over the top rope and fell outside.
It felt like they had planned something that would have
It
Kaz.
felt like Hoovy was going to low bridge him.
That could
but
be it.
Hoovy's on the other side of the ring.
That's probably it.
So maybe Psychosis thought, I'll whip him in, and he'll duck something.
Yeah.
And on the way back, Hoovy, who's on this side, will low bridge him. And Hayashi got confused and just ran and low bridged himself.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It was ridiculous.
That makes as much sense as anything I can think of. The announcers run down the card for like 5 minutes. Terry Funk arrives at the building.
What are you doing, Rob? What's going on over there?
The damn draft just gave me the evil eye.
Yeah, Rob's all of a sudden...
You just noticed the giraffe?
Yes.
Now what
Well,
are you doing?
I'm very busy doing my job, Vinny, so.
I'm not busy enough, not too busy to take a photo.
No, he all of a sudden looked over there and started taking selfies. I think he was taking pictures of me.
I know we joke about the thing being haunted. It hasn't moved all night. It's been there the whole time, and it'll be there at the end of the show.
Well, again, I'm
That's
very
not where it
focused.
was when we started.
No, it has moved.
Yes.
Document this, Rob.
I will.
Document the travels of Giraffe as he gets closer and closer to you. Speaking of haunted things, the NWO is making fun of Terry Funk because he might be a vampire or a werewolf. Might need silver bullets to kill him. And they also announced that Jeff Jarrett has not been cleared. He will not be allowed to wrestle tonight.
Yeah, you got a concussion with that Snuka match.
Yeah.
That classic. Dude.
So they go to commercial, they come back, the NWO is watching a monitor, they're laughing at somebody walking around in his gear, and they say, let's put him in a hardcore match against Bam Bam Bigelow. I had no idea who they're talking about. I had no idea what was going on. They were told they were watching Terry Funk. We then get the Wall versus, in his debut on Nitro, Kid Romeo, who in this match is a small dude sent out there to die against the Giant.
Kid Romeo.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody cared about that guy.
He's,
But you know what they loved? A giant man beating his ass.
he did.
They were so into the Wall.
So, as they're doing this match, where it's the Wall beating him up, we get a news flash from the announcers. Kevin Nash has put a $15,000 bounty on Terry Funk. This is how it's announced. As a passing comment during another match. Nash himself didn't even say anything about it.
Yeah, Nash is what is he, the commissioner?
He's the commissioner.
Putting bounties on people.
He's on promos
Where
all
the
night.
fuck is Bill Bush? All these guys in charge of Turner.
Who knows?
This is ridiculous.
Because Bill Bush put Funk in charge, but then Nash beat Funk for the commissionership, so Bill Bush can't fire Nash now? So this match, I found it fitting. This match aired the week that WWF Superstars went up on the network, because this is a WWF Superstars match. A big guy went up against a small guy, beat him up for 80% of it, hit his move, and won.
Yes.
It was a chokeslam finish.
So, am I out of my mind, or at the beginning of the show when they were plugging all the matches for tonight, including Nash versus Sid, if Sid can get through Jeff Jarrett, they also plugged Luger and Liz versus Booker and Midnight. I swear to God they promoted that match.
I will be honest. I started tuning these out during the Russo era because it was too long and made no sense anyway. I should pay more attention to the match lineups now.
Okay, somebody let me know on the board, because I wrote it down. I couldn't figure it out. I could have sworn they announced a mixed tag.
Now, this is relevant, though, to the next segment, which is Mean Gene interviewing Sid. Now,
Okay, stop.
Okay.
Sid.
Vicious, yes.
Sid is there to be interviewed by Gene. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sid is wearing a purple baseball cap.
Backwards.
All right? Don't get ahead of me, Vinny.
All right.
He's wearing a purple baseball cap.
Uh-huh.
I seem to recall he had no shirt on. I could be wrong. But, I mean, whatever he was wearing, whether he was wearing a shirt or not, the key is, whatever he was wearing, it was clear he's gigantic.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So he's standing there in a fucking purple baseball cap. He's got it turned around backwards. And the whole key to this is it's fucking tiny. It's like, imagine half the size of a yarmulke on the top of the guy's head. Like, I thought there was going to be a propeller on the top of this thing. What in the fuck was he wearing?
A small hat.
He looked like the biggest geek in this fucking hat. Like, it was fucking ridiculous. When Kurt Angle and Steve Austin put on those tiny cowboy hats, they looked like fucking cowboys compared to this guy with his fucking tiny baseball cap on. And he's cutting this promo. He says, Gene says, do you know what the roadblock is going to be tonight? Because he's supposed to face Jarrett first, and Jarrett's out. It's a mystery guy. Sid says, I'm going to be the roadblock. I am like a monster truck out of control. He's fucking cutting this serious-ass fucking promo.
He's doing the Sid whisper.
The Sid whisper.
Monster truck out of control.
Monster truck out of control. I got one mission, to become the WCW. He's fucking wearing this hat! Who okayed this?
I don't know what to tell you.
Was this Russo's final request before he left? Just once. Sid's got to wear that purple hat during a promo. Fuck, this was bad.
So...
he vows to veto Nash's power and possibly his career. You know, veto his career?
Apparently. So, as I talked about a minute ago, I did not pay attention when they ran on the card at the beginning. So I didn't know what the main event of the show was. And I'm watching this here trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So it's...
oh, Vinny.
So it's Sid versus Nash for the title, except there's a roadblock, but we don't know who the roadblock is, and there's no mention of what happens. It's later explained, kind of, what happens if Sid loses the roadblock match. We'll get to that.
This is your fault. Not
Sure.
their fault.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
There's a bunch of stuff you missed because you didn't know that the matches were Nash versus Sid if Sid can get through Jeff. Now, by the way, what that means, apparently, is if Sid can't get through the roadblock, Nash is the champion.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
That's important, Vinny.
Oh, yes. Yes. What else? No, I will say this. It is my fault. They did explain at the beginning, and I was not paying attention. I had tuned out of that part. But when you bring on a TV show, especially if you're having a ratings war with another wrestling show on Monday Night TV, you should anticipate people turning the channel and make sure they're clued into whatever you're talking about. That's a good thing to do. So I was baffled here, and I suspect I may not have been the only one. Arn Anderson tells Bam Bam Bigelow they all need to stick together and stand up to Nash. Bam Bam says for $15,000 he'd wrestle his own mother.
All right, so this one was my fault because I didn't hear about the bounty. I couldn't figure out what fucking Bam Bam's talking about with $15,000. So it's the bounty. Now, I'll make this quick. All right? I don't want to talk about $15,000 not being a lot of money. I'm a man of the people. If you heard Observer Radio last night, the truck drivers, you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
Nigel McGuinness couldn't raise $8,000, all right? But this is World Championship Wrestling owned by Turner, and this is Bam Bam fucking Bigelow, okay? Can we pretend he's rich? He's out for $15,000. Bam Bam says, I'd wrestle my own mother, okay? I've had periods of my life where I was really fucking dirt poor. I'm not wrestling my goddamn mother for $15,000. That's what this guy's telling me here. Dude.
Maybe Bam Bam Bigelow's mother's a terrible woman.
Vinny.
I don't know.
Mothers are beautiful people.
Just suggesting.
I'm a man of the mothers, too.
Good to hear. So the Scots, Steiner and Hall, are hanging in their locker room. Now, I assume, I'll tell you what I think happened here and then tell you what the results are. I assume this is like the 9th take, and Scott Hall was sick of this. So Steiner's women say to him they want to see some blood and guts. And Steiner turns to Hall and asks what they should do to offer some blood and guts. And Scott Hall says in this voice, "There's 3 cats in the hall looking for an opportunity. What do you think?"
I think he was trying to get himself fired.
That's possible too.
Yes.
So they bring in the 3 cats from the hall, which is Al Green, Christopher Daniels.
Yep, with hair.
And some other guy.
Mikey Henderson.
Oh, okay.
Who I saw had a match with Christopher Daniels. It was awesome. Right around this period.
Yeah. Hall asks who wants an opportunity. Al Green volunteers first, and so he gets it. 3 count come out. They're ready to dance, but they don't get to because Norman Smiley's music plays instead. So it's Norman Smiley versus Shannon Moore.
Anyone notice, by the way, that one of the 3 cats was the dog?
Was Al Green the dog?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
So we have Bobby Heenan making jokes about the Rams moving to St. Louis.
Fuck all that. This match was great, okay? Norman Smiley has been nothing but a comedy, hardcore geek who we watch and can't figure out how he got a job as a trainer in WWE, okay? This match tells you why. Because he was really good. He just never had the opportunity. He worked Mexico as Black Magic.
Yes.
Him and Shannon Moore go in there and they did a bunch of fucking lucha. It was great. And they had their little finish. Norman submitted him. I loved this match.
It was basically 1 man on 3. The 3 count was interfering right and left. Norman's fighting them all off. At one point, the referee counted a pin on the floor. Fortunately, the wrestlers got up. And then Norman wins with a crossface chicken wing. And 3 count's reaction to this is they throw their green dots in the ring. They want to go dance, but Shannon can't even stand. So they're trying to get him manhandle him onto his dot so he can get up and dance, but he ran out of time. The NWO gives Al Green a pep talk. Nash wants to know which Harris is going to work against Sid.
Yeah, and Nash has no idea which Harris is which, and so Jarrett explains, well, that's Heavy D and that's Ronnie. Oh. That solves that problem.
I guess so.
No, I still have no idea which is which. That didn't help, Jeff. That's my point.
The NWO is watching Al's match in the locker room, and it is Al Green versus Tank Abbott.
Hey, Tank was getting over.
Tank is awesome.
They popped for him when he came out. He killed the guy.
His knockout punch looks killer.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. I think it looks killer.
If they had given him the opportunity to work house show matches and train on the side, he had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But they fuck it up.
Yeah.
I know you're surprised.
Al Green, by the way, looked like a bigger version of Taz.
Yeah.
He had the same haircut, just dyed blonde.
And then in the crowd, there's Big Al. Tenay says, Big Al used to watch Tank's back in his UFC days. So Bobby Heenan gets out of his commentator booth and he runs over to interview Big Al. And Al says, Tank and I have a long history. We rode a lot of hard miles together. This makes me sick to my stomach. He's a sellout. Bobby says, tell me more. Al just sits down. That's it. That's the debut.
Big Al.
The infamous debut of Big Al, who will have an infamous moment coming up, I believe, at the next pay-per-view.
I believe so. Bobby Heenan, by the way, hammered.
Since we're not going to review that pay-per-view, I'll just tell you what happens. Tank and Big Al have a match, and they just go into business for themselves, and they do a spot where Al pulls a fucking knife on Tank Abbott. Or maybe it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
It's after the match.
Jesus, fuck.
Tank wins and then holds a knife to Al's throat, and they frantically cut away, just in case one of them actually killed the other.
Oh,
with the knife.
God. Guess who's back?
The cat comes out.
Shat's here.
The cat comes out. He threatens the fans. He dances, and he leaves.
Yes. Ah, the glory days of Nitro have returned. Shat is back.
The NWO wishes Al Green well as he's loaded into an ambulance, and there were audio issues here, so we couldn't hear them. But apparently Scott Steiner said something really funny because Scott Hall cracked up. Bam Bam Bigelow is walking, and then Terry Funk is walking, but Bam Bam ambushes him with a chair, and the match starts.
God, Bam Bam beat the shit out of Terry Funk. Thankfully, he whacked him in the shoulder with the chair 85 times and not in the head.
Yes.
But God, this guy's old, and Bigelow just beat the shit out of him and almost killed him. Mm-hmm. But he never actually hits him in the head, okay? No. Until the very end. This is the idea they came up with. Finley and Knobs come out. Bam Bam lays them out. Bam Bam goes up top. Bam Bam is going to do a diving headbutt onto Terry Funk, okay? Mm-hmm. He's going to do a diving headbutt onto Funk. So Knobs takes a chair. Knobs throws a chair. It lands on Funk's face. Bam Bam comes off the top, headbutts the chair into Funk's face. Funk grabs at his fucking face because he got hit with a chair twice. And then they throw his ass on top and he gets the pin. Because Bam Bam headbutting a chair into Funk's head hurt Bam Bam more than Funk.
Yes. That all happened.
Trying to kill this guy?
That all happened. You didn't even mention the part where Bam Bam put a rope around Terry Funk's neck
Oh, yeah, and dragged him.
and dragged him around the arena.
Yeah.
Which they actually did. It was not like it worked dragging.
No, he dragged him.
Pulled around the arena by his neck. The Harrises go for a walk. Sid goes for a walk.
Funk, by the way, has vowed reinforcements to take out the NWO on
Thunder.
Yeah. Dead man walking,
Yes,
he
he did
screams.
that promo, that's right. We have Sid versus A. Harris. The announcers didn't know which one.
Okay, I got to talk about this because this is the big thing here. Sid plays babyface in peril against two Harris brothers.
They're both cheating, yeah.
Can you fucking imagine? Watch this, everybody. Sid selling for two Harrises. Harris puts him in a fucking chinlock forever. Sid makes a comeback into chokeslam. The Harrises play the Bella Twins.
Yep.
They do twin magic.
Killer Bees, yep.
New Harris makes a comeback. Sid boots him, power bombs him. He gets the pin. He pinned the wrong Harris.
He did.
Okay. That's problem number one. Number two, we don't see this, okay? They go to break. During the break, the referee rules, Sid, you pinned the wrong Harris. This match must continue. Sid says, fuck you, and he walks out.
Oh, really?
The ref counts him out and awards the win to the Harris brother,
Okay.
which should mean that Kevin Nash is the champion.
Yeah.
None of this airs on television.
No.
I don't know why they did it. Like, maybe they follow up with this on Thunder. I just remember this storyline that they're doing with Sid and Nash over the World Championship is horribly convoluted.
Well,
So maybe next week we'll find out what actually happened.
during this match, as I'm watching Sid wrestle A. Harris, the announcers are saying that if the Harris wins, then Kevin Nash by default will be the new world title.
Yeah.
New world champion.
So he should be now.
So as they're saying this, it occurs to me, if you're Kevin Nash and you're the commissioner and you can book whatever matches you want, why don't you just make yourself the champion right now? Why even give Sid a chance?
Apparently the championship committee said
Now, on top of all that, as the Harris has Sid in a chinlock, he looks into the camera and starts shouting about how he's going to be the champion. Does anyone know what's going on?
no!
Does it have to be this complicated?
Yes.
You can't just have matches where the winners advance and get title shots.
Hey, largely they did that, except for this one here.
Jesus. So, I'm going to pretend everything you said happened during the commercial didn't happen.
Yes, please.
Sid pinned A. Harris.
Yes.
It was, in fact, the wrong Harris, but
Yes.
A, they were switching back and forth so often that you couldn't tell anyway. B, the other Harris was also beat. And C, they were cheating, so it's poetic justice.
Yes.
So, Lord knows I've seen stupider finishes on the show than Sid pinning the wrong Harris to win. Kidman versus Vampiro.
David Arquette and Courtney Cox in the front row.
Yep.
It's fucking 2000 WCW, dude.
It really is. And it occurred to me here, it's only January.
Yes.
He's going to be around for months.
Heenan is drunk. He's
My God, Bobby
wolfing
Heenan.
all over Tori.
I honestly, and think about how many shows we've watched with drunken wrestlers, drunken comedy. Nitro, especially. Remember the whole show when the NWO was sloshed and and Bischoff looked like he was going to be sick? I can't believe they left Bobby on the air on this one.
Oh, they did?
They put Tori on screen and he can just go, she's beautiful.
She's so beautiful.
Guys, she's so beautiful.
She's so hot. I mean, she was.
Just gorgeous. So, they're doing stuff in this match. Nobody cares. Stuff gets fucked up. There were irritating sound issues throughout this entire show, by the way. There's whistles and pops and hisses. All kinds of crap. And then Kidman hits a very scary Hurricane Rana off the middle rope for the win. Looked like Vampiro was going for a spine buster or something. And
This was all right, but it was just too many moves. Just a collection of moves and kickouts forever.
it's an example of why is this happening?
Yes.
They're nothing at stake. They're both good guys. It didn't make any sense, and it was there.
So Arn's on the phone next, okay? This is what we get out of this. We don't know who he's on the phone with, but here are the clues. He says, put your pants back on, champ. Are you going to be here on Thunder? All right. Done deal, says Arn. They spend the whole show trying to figure out which legendary champion Arn told to put his pants back on and called the champ.
Don't forget where he said it's time for somebody else to eat some dust.
Yes.
Because the last time we saw Ric Flair,
Maybe Bruno Sammartino.
he was buried, yes.
Maybe Bob Backlund.
Sure.
What are the Briscoe brothers? Who could this be?
Kevin Nash is getting a massage.
Yep, says I'm not taking this lightly.
Jarrett is worried. They're playing with the Harris's backfire. Now Nash has to wrestle. Nash assures him everything's in the bag. It's all part of the plan. Gene attempts to interview Vampiro. We hear nothing.
Yep.
They give up.
Yep.
Tony calls this, quote, one of them technical difficulties that we announcers got to cover up for.
Paisley walked in during this segment, looked at the screen and said, "That's Daddy doing gymnastics."
Vampiro?
Either that or Gene. I hope Vamp.
God, I hope Vamp.
Yes.
Lex Luger versus Booker T. We have Lex doing a promo. Says, every day Sting is absent, I am growing stronger in his weakness. Asks us.
He says, he's making fun of everybody else's bodies. Bodybuilders have off season. Other wrestlers, their bodies change.
Yeah.
I have looked the same way. I've looked unbelievable for 14 years.
Yes.
No off season. I have 4% body fat, he says, quote, unheard of in modern day physiology.
Yes.
I laughed so hard. And he dropped Hulk Hogan's name.
Yes. Everyone thinks he's going to end with Sting's name, and he drops Hulk Hogan instead, and they're all very surprised. So it's Lex and Booker T. I know we say it we're watching Lex deteriorate before our eyes. He either can't or won't bump anymore. He's putting his hands down to break his fall every single time. The match is boring. The announcers are just talking about if Flair will be there. So there's a pinfall, but Liz takes the ref. Midnight, who is not in fact in a mixed tag with Booker against Liz and Lex, Midnight comes out and confronts her, but then Stevie Ray takes the ref. Big T has the slapjack, and Lex deadlifts Book into the torture rack for the win.
Yeah.
The lights go out. Sting's music plays. They cut to the camera, or cut to the entrance ramp, and there's like the smoke and the super bright light, and we're supposed to think it's Sting's silhouette holding a bat up in the smoke. It's not Sting. I don't know who this was. Sting has never had a haircut this bad. Think about that.
That's hard to believe, actually.
I promise you. Yeah. And then it just stops, and Sting's gone, and Lex is weirded out. Gene interviews Vampiro again.
Fuck, the first thing he says is, if I didn't know better, I'd say that WWF might have sabotaged my microphone. I believe that was yet another lawsuit that was filed immediately thereafter.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I didn't know that. He also said something like, I apologize for the technical difficulties we had later on.
Yes.
He's time traveling now.
Yes.
So Vampiro, I talked about how weird it is. He's such a weird babyface. It's effective. It's working. But it's something weird about him as a babyface. Here he is.
Humble. Quiet.
Humble was the word he used.
This is why Paisley thought it was me.
I guess so.
Yes.
He's humbled by being here for the greatest company in the world.
Yes.
He respects Billy Kidman. He'd like another chance at him. He hopes he'll get that rematch at Thunder.
Me too.
Boy Scout Vampiro.
Yes.
Going for a merit badge here.
Well, you know, when you get rid of those crazy clowns.
No clowns, no misfits.
Yeah, the
all that's left, I guess, is to be the nicest, friendliest, most down-to-earth vampire you ever saw. The MamaLukes.
Who are the tag team champions.
Yeah, when did that happen?
Fuck if I know. They just came out with the belts on.
And they have a name. I've just been calling them the Italians for months. Now they are the MamaLukes.
They're the MamaLukes versus Finley and Brian Knobs, who I totally forgotten they ever teamed up
They
together.
are the Hardcore Soldiers, is their name.
What the fuck?
Now, earlier, Brian, when we started, you said there was nothing great or nothing horrible in either of these shows. You were mistaken. This segment was horrible. Mostly due to the commentary team of David Flair, Daphne, and Crowbar.
See, we're on different pages, dude.
Okay.
Crowbar was awesome.
Crowbar was kind of funny.
Crowbar was better than anybody on the main roster today. David and Daphne just giggling incessantly sucked.
Yeah.
But then Stacy Keibler comes out to watch, and David is in heat. And he gets up on the table, and he starts dancing.
He did dance for Miss Hancock.
He's dancing for Miss Hancock. It was the greatest thing he ever did, aside from getting beaten by Chris Benoit. This was the highlight of his career. Then Daphne chased her to the back, and I don't remember who won. Who cares? I think, obviously, the MamaLukes won. I'd given up by then.
I'm going to read my notes here for this one. Bear with me. MamaLukes versus hardcore soldiers with David Flair and Crowbar doing commentary. They're very irritating. S&P out to watch. They leave. Miss Hancock strolls down to the commentary desk. Disco flirts with her. We're missing half the match. David dances for Hancock, so Daphne screams and stalks after her. David follows. Johnny pins Knobs after a belt shot. Wait! That's not the finish! Everyone brawls everywhere. Knobs throws a chair at Finley, and Vito hits an implant DDT for the win. This was unbelievably awful.
Well, let me read my notes for this next unbelievably awful promo by Kevin Nash.
It wasn't very good.
He says, it's another one of his comedy routines, except it's totally not funny. He says, tonight, Sid will face me for the vacant title. Since both of us used the power bomb, and it's so gosh darn dangerous, and he winks at the camera, I'm banning the power bomb. If Sid used the power bomb tonight, he will forfeit the match, and I will be the champion. I have sent a team to Vegas, the girls, the ice-cold beverages, to meet myself, the commissioner, for one humdinger of a title party to follow tonight's activities. I was like, you were making a fucking mockery of this sport. Do you realize that? You're turning this into a giant fucking joke. This is about the world title. Are you fucking crazy? You think this is good? This sucked. Then they had a match.
This also sucked.
The first fucking spot in the main event. The main event is Nash versus Sid for the World Championship. The very first spot is God is my witness. They fucked up a body slam.
Yep.
They can't figure out how to body slam each other.
I actually remember this happening.
I do too!
I thought it was on a pay-per-view. I don't know if it's better or worse that it's not.
It probably happened on a pay-per-view as well.
It may have happened more than once. Basically, they locked up, and then both guys went for the slam.
Yep.
I don't know who called it, but he should have been more clear.
Yeah.
I'll slam you.
They locked up, and someone just said slam.
And they both went for it.
They both tried to slam each other. They're both grabbing each other's
junk
crotch. Then finally, one of them I don't even remember who slammed who.
Doesn't matter.
Who won this test of strength?
Yeah.
Long-ass sleeper.
I forget if it was this match or the Harris one, but it must have been this one. Nash gets a sleeper. They're too lazy to even go to the ground with it. They just stay on their feet the whole time. The ref drops Sid's arm once. He drops Sid's arm twice. He raises it a third time, and Sid's arm drops, but it knocks the other one up into the air.
Let's talk about the finish.
The ref gets bumped.
Ref goes down, and Jarrett comes out with a guitar, okay? Jeff, here's the finish, everyone. I'm not making this up.
This is what happened.
Jeff hits Nash with the guitar.
Sid hits Nash with the guitar.
Sid gets the guitar. He hits Nash. Nash goes down, okay? Mm-hmm. The story is, Sid is now going to pretend that he got hit.
He plays possum.
Mm-hmm. So the ref is going to wake up, think that Sid has been hit by the guitar. Sid will then crawl over, cover Nash, and get the pin. All right? Mm-hmm. Nash is covered in guitar. There's wires on him. The fucking strings.
Yeah.
The neck. Like, he is covered in guitar debris. Sid starts selling. There ain't a piece of wood within 5 feet of him. The ref looks up and he's like, huh? What happened? And Sid crawls over as the announcers tell us, this man is brilliant. He crawls over and he puts a fucking hand on Nash, and the ref counts the pin and awards the World Championship to Big Sid.
Sid Vicious
is the champion. In 2000.
In the year 2000. So
he was the Millennium Man.
He was the Millennium Man, in fact. So the story is, I'm not making this up, Kevin Nash was outsmarted by the big stupid dummy.
Yes.
Sid.
That's exactly what happened.
That was Sid's nickname from Bret Hart.
Yep.
The big stupid dummy.
Well, he's a babyface now, and babyfaces in this company are not dumb.
Are not the stupid dummies.
Think about that.
Yes.
Even WCW knew that.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant strategist.
He's a ring general. Cerebral, well, not assassin.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
He's no ring general. All right, are you ready? Hopefully you can figure this out now that you've learned some news about this show.
I think so. The finishes on this show were clean pin, clean submission, ref stoppage via knockout, pin after interference in a hardcore match, pin despite tons of interference, clean pin after interference, pin after tons of interference by both sides, and pin after weapon shot.
There you go, everybody. seconds. What a boring show.
Things have calmed down on Finishers Report lately.
It's true.
That'll change here.
WCW Monday Nitro number 228, also January 31st of the year 2000.
So you remember last week when I said they did that weird thing where during a commercial break,
more specific.
During a commercial break in that Sid match, they had the referee announced that Sid had to return because he pinned the wrong guy and Sid refused, and so they disqualified him?
Sure.
Okay. They actually brought that up on Thunder. Okay. So I know that because they very, very briefly showed... This was the shittiest recap of all time. Like, the show opens and they go, Sid has regained the WCW title. I thought, Sid regained WCW title. What do you mean regained? And they show this fucking, 10-second recap. And there's, a Harris twin and Sid and a referee. And then there's Nash and another Harris in a cage. And then there's Sid celebrating with a belt. That's literally the whole fucking recap. What happened here?
Hey,
Can we pretend? All I ask, I do these recaps here. I can go back and find out what happened. That's not what I want to do here. I'm recapping what happened on this show. I'm hoping that maybe somebody will listen to this someday and end up in a position of power somewhere and learn a fucking lesson. And today's lesson is, don't presume we watch Thunder of all fucking shows.
Yes.
Okay? Nobody watched Thunder. People did. It's mind-numbing, okay? But, not everybody. So if you do something on Thunder or SmackDown, you gotta tell us what happened. Because we're only watching Nitro, like normal humans, and shit happens on the other show, and we don't fucking have any idea what's going on.
And there's no brand split. This is the same guys on both shows.
Yes. What happened with Sid?
I got a tiny little morsel.
A morsel.
Please, more out
Vinny.
of this than you did. So Sid beat Nash on the Nitro main event to win the world title.
Yes, we saw that.
He goes to Thunder.
Yes.
On Thunder, Commissioner Nash strips Sid of the belt. I had no idea why.
Because of the wrong Harris.
The wrong Harris. Okay. Nash strips Sid of the title and crowns himself champion. And then books himself and a Harris versus Sid in a cage match with the title on the line.
Oh my God.
And Sid won that and won the title again.
Why bother?
So in the past, 15 days, 18 days, Bret Hart, Chris Benoit, and Sid have all forfeited and or been stripped of this title.
Yes.
And Nash lost it.
What the fuck?
In a handicap match.
And Nash lost in a handicap
So
match.
is Nash officially the champion? Is Ed in the record books that he's the champion again? I'm going to find out.
I'm assuming Kevin Nash was champion for 2 hours on SmackDown. Or on Thunder. Earlier today, Kevin Nash is not out this show. Mourning, I assume, his championship loss. He makes Jeff Jarrett the acting commissioner. So
I don't think the story is over, by the way. I mean, just for those of you that
this championship?
The story with Sid and
Oh, probably not.
everybody. All right, so Sid won the title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Okay, so... All right. It's worse than you think, Vinny. Going back to September 12th.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Sting vacated. Bret Hart vacated. Bret Hart vacated. Chris Benoit vacated. Sid vacated.
Oh my God.
Kevin Nash listed as champion. Sid wins the championship. And there are so many notes about what went on here. But I guess to cut to the chase, because Nash declared himself champion, okay? Mm-hmm. Because he declared himself champion, he was the first man to be defeated for the championship going all the way back to September when Sting defeated Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
And there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 title changes in between.
Excellent. That's outstanding. Hey, did you know WCW's dead?
I was aware.
Isn't it funny how that works?
It's amazing.
So Jarrett and the crew go for a walk. This show is also in Pennsylvania, in I believe it's Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah.
Wilkes-Barre. Mark Madden is taking over for Bobby Heenan. They say Bobby's just sick, but I think it's ended up being a permanent move.
Poor Bobby.
Yeah.
I miss him already.
The NWO comes out for a promo with a bunch of lovely young women. Does anyone know who the gal in the blue was?
I'm still looking at this tape, this title thing here.
I hope she's on next week.
I had her name like 2 weeks ago. And
The Kevin Nash title win apparently was never officially recognized by WCW.
Oh, I will update my records.
But Geeks on Wikipedia, in canon, Kevin Nash was the champion.
I would trust the Geeks on Wikipedia way more than people running WCW.
I mean, I don't know. Nash doesn't deserve this year, but...
By the way, did you realize what Scott Steiner's role on this show was? Scott Steiner came out here with a promo.
Yeah.
And
he called the local women ugly.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then after that, for the next hour and 45 minutes, he sat on a couch with lovely women.
Yeah.
For the whole show.
Yeah.
He's figured it out.
And where do you get this gig?
There were 80 guys that were at home making the money, not even traveling to the building.
Yeah. He had to show up.
You had to
going
be
to
there.
their local strip club and hanging out with women
This was
on
pretty
WCW's
close.
time. Right?
But yes, Craig, Scott Steiner has it figured out.
I'll say.
And to answer your question of how do you get this job, first, you must be Scott Steiner.
Dude, Hall did the same thing. He didn't have to talk.
You have to be Scott Hall.
So anyway, Jarrett comes out.
Yeah.
Says, Nash won't be here tonight. I am the new commissioner, and there's business to take care of. Steiner calls the women corn-fed heifers, has all the women take their shirts off to reveal their bodies, announces that Heavy D and Big Ronnie are now in the NWO. Heavy D and Big Ronnie
The Harris twins.
are now in the NWO.
Yeah.
Sweet. Fans chant asshole at Jarrett.
Sure.
He announces he's the new number one contender for the title.
Why? How?
Says
commissioner.
him and the Heresies will face Sid and two partners later tonight.
That's a great tag team name, actually.
Wants to run the show like Big Kev. He will take bribes, and you know where to find him. I was entertained by Jarrett. Should he be the world champion? No,
Of course not.
but he was entertaining here.
They came out here. They had some women. Scott did some comedy or whatever you want to call what Scott Steiner does. Jarrett made his points and they were done. When this promo was over, the show was only 10 minutes old. So this promo was like 5 minutes. Great. Sid arrives in the building. I think Sid, 19 years ago, heard the promo you cut last week on his tiny hat.
Yeah, his fucking hat's back.
No, it's tinier. I think it's gonna be
I'm not sure.
It's going to be a smaller hat every week.
I'm not sure.
And he's got the I know this is 2000 now, but he's got the 1990s super bright, colorful tracksuit on, too.
Yes.
Like powder blue. A limo arrives. It's Ric Flair. He gets out and clearly wishes he was still at home. He regrets showing up to this building.
Well, it was cold out.
It was very
Cold and
yes.
muddy out. Big T, Stevie Ray, and is it Jay Biggs?
Jay Biggs.
Jay Biggs walk backstage.
These guys. That's Curtis Mason, right?
Yes.
Okay.
From the
Clarence Mason.
Clarence Mason from the
Thank
Nation of Domination. Arn and Terry Funk are backstage vowing to get the job done tonight, and Terry wants Arn to get Flair, and Arn says, he's back there somewhere. Go find him yourself. I'm not doing justice to how annoying this was. I'm like to think it was these are the top baby faces.
Yeah.
It would get better. Cruiserweight tournament match, Lash LaRue versus Evan Courageous.
Hey, I enjoyed this match.
There's nothing wrong with this.
Lash looked pretty good. Evan is night and day better than the Medusa feud.
Yeah.
3 count kept trying to interfere.
It's a great gimmick.
Lash foiled him again, got the clean pin, and the people went crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there was still hope.
There was wrestling.
There was hope.
Hope to be dashed, I might add.
3 counts a fun gimmick. They come out and dance like geeks. They cheat like crazy, but it never
Yep.
works.
Yep.
They always get beaten anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Lash won with a cravat leg sweep.
They look too much like backyarders, though.
Well,
I do watch the show, and it's kind of like there's like wrestlers on the other show. This is dudes on their trampoline.
they had.
And I realize I once wrestled in cargo pants.
Yeah, I was going to say they have the
I was
Hardy's.
a fucking geek.
They have the Hardy's uniform on.
Yes.
The NWO is cutting a promo that I cannot hear. I think they rejected some food.
Yes.
Dustin Rhodes tell us not to try this at home. Where's he been, by the way?
They're going to repackage him.
Oh, great. It's about time he got his 14th new gimmick. Gene interviews David Flair, Crowbar, and Daphne.
These people.
David's just crazy. Daphne's just screaming. And then Crowbar does his Gordon Solie impression.
Yeah.
Which I think is supposed to be, like, funny in a bad way.
It's pretty good.
But he's
It's a little funny, and it's awesome.
Yes.
He sold me so good on this tag match they had with the MamaLukes.
Yes, he was great on commentary last week. No one noticed.
It was great. And the MamaLukes attack, and the match was on. It is David Flair and Crowbar versus the MamaLukes in a Bensonhurst street fight.
I love how the MamaLukes attack them, and far deep in the background you hear ding, ding, ding. They rang the bell from ringside. They start fighting in the backstage area.
They actually leave the building entirely. They go outside to do backdrops in the snow.
That was awesome.
That's where you take them.
Yeah.
Disco's on commentary. He announces that even though the team is called the MamaLukes, they're not MamaLukes.
No.
They're Paisans.
Paisans.
I'm like, well, why are they the fucking MamaLukes then? Right?
Well,
Paisans was already taken, I guess.
Because they don't get to choose their own name, apparently.
That's dumb.
This is a total ECW brawl to the point where not only was Vito doing New Jack spots, he was strutting and dancing like New Jack.
I love when Disco's
Probably
talking
had earphones on with Natural Born Killers playing.
talking about Johnny the Bull. He goes, he's 23 years old. He's been in jail a lot. This is one of the ways he put him over.
Yes. That's how you got to get over in Brooklyn, he says.
Yes.
So the camera has no idea where to focus. Guys are just fighting everywhere. Miss Hancock comes out. Disco constantly says his men don't need his help. Then it says he sings like Mighty Mouse, "Here I am to save the day," and he hits the ring, and it's a street fight, so it's fine. And they splash the Crowbar through a table, and they pin him.
I don't know if you watched this match or not, but David Flair and Vito were together 90% of the time, and Vito gave him nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. He didn't give him one thing. He beat the shit out of him unrepentantly the entire match, and then they won in the end. Brian,
have you seen David Flair work?
I have, but like your job, it was just bullshit. Give the guy something. Do a reversal and run into the stairs so you have to do all the fucking work or something.
Okay.
Give the guy something.
Booker T and Midnight go for a walk. Brian Knobbs goes to bribe Jeff Jarrett.
All right, here's another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude. So, Knobbs and Finley hated each other.
Yes.
And then one fucking day, Finley is training Knobbs.
In the woods.
And I'm like, wait a second. Why is Finley training Knobbs?
In the woods.
So Finley trains Knobbs, and then they're together for a while.
Cut
and
off
now,
his mullet?
all of a sudden, Knobbs is sick of Finley.
Yes. Been tired of being ordered around.
I have no idea what's happening. And here's Knobbs' brilliant idea. I don't like Finley in this company. Mm-hmm. We must get rid of him. Who could take out Finley once and for all? You know, maybe the total package. And he bribes Jarrett. Jarrett says, no problem. Finley in the package. They'll be in the same ring tonight. I knew immediately where it was going. Mm-hmm. Telegraphed.
Booker T comes out.
Okay, hold on a second. The show gets better, everybody. His music dies midstream. Jay Biggs comes out. He says, this music is owned by Harlem Heat Incorporated. Booker, you're no longer part of that group. You can no longer use the music. I'm like, fine. That makes sense. He says, Harlem Heat have collaborated on a new song for you. I'm like, it's got to be like Big T and Stevie doing the worst rapping ever. Like, just something horrible. Instead, it's just a fucking song.
Yes.
I kind of liked it.
Jay Biggs goes,
happy rock song.
Meaningless music for a meaningless person. And I'm thinking, what meaning is there behind the Harlem Heat thing? None. Harlem Heat theme has nothing to it. It's just a fucking song.
Yeah.
But now in storyline, it's very meaningful.
Sure.
But this music is meaningless. So then he says, the letter T is the property of Harlem Heat.
Oh, somewhere the count from Sesame Street is sobbing.
The letter T...
Can't count. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a letter.
Keep going.
The letter T is now the property of Harlem Heat.
Misfire.
It's not the number 4.
He claims copyright infringement, which it would not be. It would be trademark infringement.
Yes.
If you could trademark the letter T.
If you could trademark a fucking name or a letter, neither of which you can. Clarence Mason, the worst attorney of all time. Stevie actually could be a good attorney. He goes, no more flames, copyrighted, trademarked, no more music. You, he says, may as well become G.I. Bro again. Then they give the microphone to Big T. What did he say?
He said, I should have written it down. He took three
You
words.
can't.
No, I actually understood. I understood what he was trying to say and what actually came out of his mouth. But he took three
He
words.
says Huvakalufa. He says something.
That's close. He took three words and somehow combined them into one. And all his consonants are Z's.
Dude.
He's not good.
Did you notice that some fan was heckling him off to the side? So he lifts up his
He
fist.
did the Star-Lord cranking middle finger.
Yes, and then the camera sees what he's doing, and they quickly pan right.
Yes.
Because he's going to flip off somebody on national TV.
Yeah.
So then he says...
So Harlem Heat leaves.
No, he goes, if you have a problem with me owning the letter T, we can settle this right now.
Oh, man.
But they don't.
How are you going to write a newsletter?
And then Jay Big says...
How are you going to write anything?
Booker, you have no wrestling license anymore. What? By leaving the group, you lost your wrestling license?
Well, because his license...
No, Vinny! I've had a wrestling license.
Was your name on it?
This is the... Yes! My fucking course my name was on
Well,
it.
you've had one too.
That's a long time ago.
I've had one.
Point being,
Everybody's had
Brian,
one.
he can't use that name anymore.
Vinny, get out of here, you moron. Midnight comes down, throws Jay Biggs in the ring, but then Harlem Heat comes down, they beat up Booker.
Slowly!
What a stupid fucking storyline.
Booker T
this
is in the ring beating up Clarence Mason for like 5 minutes, and here comes Big T and Stevie Ray sauntering out to the ring. Did we mention when Jay Biggs said Booker had been hoodwinking and bamboozling the people?
Well,
So, last thing, a light bulb went off over my head when Stevie said Booker needed to get the G.I. Bro suit back on. We need a G.I. Bro Matt Riddle tag team.
Ooh.
That would be awesome. 3 count attacks Norman Smiley backstage. Jarrett stooges off knobs to Finley.
he's back there and he says, some fat tub of goo tried to buy me off. Then Finley goes, that big fat pig. Just buried knobs. I mean, he's not that fat, but boy, were they all over his weight.
So Jarrett makes Finley the referee for a Lex Luger Brian Knobbs match. Cut to Brian Knobbs, the one person who actually watches this show. His plan has been foiled. He has to wrestle Lex Luger. He throws a tantrum. He's throwing chairs and furniture. He goes to open the door, but it's locked. So he has to open the little thingy and open it. My question on all this is, if you've been watching this show for the past, year, why is Lex Luger suddenly the scariest guy in the roster?
Fuck if
Why
I
aren't they
know.
afraid to fight Meng or Tank Abbott?
I don't.
Lex?
It
One
should
of
have
the
been
Steiners.
Tank.
Or Steiner?
Either of them.
100 guys scarier than Lex Luger on the show. Norman finds the demon's casket. He attempts to hide in there.
Remember I asked you, what is that?
This
Is he
is the-
between two dinosaurs?
This is the picture that loads when you load up the show on the
Yes.
network. It's Norman hiding the casket.
It's like Norman's in Jurassic Park. There's a velociraptor on each side.
and the casket then devours him.
Yes.
This casket looks like a cocoon.
Yeah. Billy Kidman versus The Wall.
Why is the Wall getting a push of all people?
That's a great question.
the Wall. He beats the shit out of Kidman forever.
He beat...
The wall's been pushed for a long time, actually.
I don't think Kidman got one move in this match.
No.
I don't think
Mostly in Washington.
any offense. And then Torrey takes the ref. Vampiro comes out and kicks the wall, and Kidman pins him. Could you have designed a segment to make everyone look like more of a geek? Everyone here looks like a geek. So Kidman goes to confront Vampiro for some reason, but we never find out because he cut away to show Ric Flair walking. I'm exhausted.
well, let me do the next segment.
Right.
My favorite segment of all time.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Ric Flair comes out, and the fans go crazy for him. He's now 50, by the way. He's a 50-year-old Ric Flair in World Championship Wrestling in the year 2000. It's impossible for this man to be a heel. Mm-hmm. But he's Flair. He demands he be a heel. So this fucking guy comes out here, and he is trying so hard to be a heel. He's yelling at the people. He's telling the fat boys to ask their wives and girlfriends who the man is.
He buried literally every college and pro sports team in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yep, and they are cheering him louder and louder the more heelish he gets.
My favorite line where it talks about Space Mountain is the oldest ride in the park, but it's still got the longest line.
He said that 50,000 times in his
I
career.
know.
So he tells the story of how the powers to be had the audacity to call him at home and ask him to come back and be the commissioner. And he says, why would you want the greatest wrestler alive to be the commissioner? Apparently that was supposed to be a heel line, but everyone's like, yeah, why the fuck would you ever ask that? He says they called him and asked him to come here, and so here he is. He's going to get this company up and rolling again. But he has to clarify one thing. That is the former commissioner, Mr. Terry Funk. He says, Terry Funk is Terry Funk, and I'm Ric Flair, and there's a big difference. So out comes Terry Funk.
I just want to say before we get any farther,
how awesome this promo was.
Partly. Actually, yes.
Unbelievably great.
We see a lot of Crazy Flair promos, and we say Ric Flair cut a great Crazy Flair promo. This was, by his own standards,
awesome.
Unbelievably great.
Yes.
This was like, this may have been the best Crazy Flair promo of the year 2000, of the 2000s, of the 90s, whatever you want to call it, every Nitro ever. This was a one-of-a-kind, all-time great Crazy Ric Flair promo.
So he cuts his unbelievable promo, and Terry Funk comes out. Terry Funk is supposed to be the babyface here. Mm-hmm. He gets booed.
He's passionately booed. May I be his opening line? Flair, you banana-nosed, horse-toothed, evil bastard.
Yes, that's his first line. You banana-nosed, horse-toothed, evil bastard.
Yes.
So Funk has been motivated by Flair, apparently.
I guess.
Because he cuts the best promo he's cut in a decade.
Yep.
He says, Flair, you've been champion more than anybody. You've made millions in this sport. You're a common name in every household throughout the world, but I sense a tinge of jealousy in your voice. He says it comes from Mick Foley's book and a statement that he made. One sentence. And that was that you would not make a decent-sized pimple on Terry Funk's ass. And he's so proud to say the word ass on any given day. So forget this pettiness and join me against the NWO.
Yeah, that was his recruiting speech.
Yes. He says, you could help me in my fight against the NWO. You could help raise up WCW, but you don't want to do any of that. You, Ric Flair, need to grow up. Look at your goddamn idiot son. He needs discipline from his father. If I was his father, I'd take him back behind the barn, strap him to a sawhorse, and beat that little son of a bitch. And I'd beat him and teach him some respect.
Again, this was his recruiting pitch.
Yes. He says, you just go be the governor. You leave Arn and myself to deal with the NWO. I don't want you around. You don't have enough sense to be around. You horse-toothed, banana-nosed bastard. So then Flair's angry. Flair says, if Foley thinks I'm a pimple on your ass, he hasn't watched TV in 27 years. He says, I have more world titles than you have cows on that little tiny chicken ranch of his.
Chicken ranch?
Chicken ranch my ass, says Terry Funk. He's outraged.
Never seen a man so infuriated by the claim he has a chicken ranch.
Those were the fighting words. He said that Terry Funk had a chicken ranch. So Flair threatens to kick the shit out of him, which gets bleeped. Funk runs down to the ring. I am just like on cloud nine. This is the greatest professional wrestling I've ever seen in my life.
It's phenomenal.
And they run down and they're going to get a brawl, and then it's a 54-year-old Terry Funk and a 50-year-old Ric Flair, and they can barely do anything.
The last thing is right before it gets physical. Flair notes Funk is wearing a Living Legend T-shirt.
Oh, the temerity. He punches him.
They had a little brawl. It quickly got separated, and that was that. But yes, the verbal war here was an all-timer.
It was so good. Like, Tuesdays, I'm so strapped for time. I just don't have time to go back and watch anything twice. Like, maybe when this show is over, I'm going to watch this 10 times. It was so awesome. Oh, my God.
We then cut from there to the NWO locker room for exactly 3 seconds. Just enough time to hear Jeff Jarrett say, it looks like we just found Sid 2 partners. No more time than that, no less. Gene interviews Sid backstage. Sid promises to powerbomb someone to hell.
Actually, a great promo.
Yeah. Miss Hancock's legs are upset at Lenny and Lodi for not wearing their suits. Lenny and Lodi say they're sick of stupid gimmicks. We were just here to be eye candy to get you over. This is a shitty place to work, and they leave.
No, she goes,
they were the eye candy?
She goes, you're lucky you even have a job in this company. And Lenny Lane goes, yeah, we're lucky to have a job in WCW. It's horrible. It's the fucking burial. This is why the company died, but I howled at that line.
Yeah. Lex Luger versus Brian Knobbs, the Fit Finley is ref.
I zoned out, so I didn't watch
You didn't
it.
miss anything.
Not even 3 years ago, Lex Luger submitted Hulk Hogan clean
Ugh.
to win the world title and be like, for 1 hour or so, this big giant star. We're not even 3 years later. It looks like he's aged 30 years. He can't do anything. It's heartbreakingly sad to watch this. So, Finley levels Knobbs. This is in the middle of the match. Nobody cares. There's a couple of boring chants. Knobbs drops some elbows. Tony says Knobbs almost blew himself up with those 3 elbows. And finally, Liz hits Knobbs with the bat. Finley just leaves. Lex and Liz Pillmanize Knobbs' arm. He's sitting in the knockout. So they're stomping on this chair in his arm. He's not even moving. This does not help anything. The bell rings. Just an awful segment. And then as Lex is leaving, he has the audacity to call himself, of all people, the Cal Ripken of wrestling. The guy who lasted forever. And then he called out Hulk Hogan again.
Well, I did wake up when the Kiss Demon was talking to the cops. He's explaining that stuff got stolen.
Yep.
And the line he says is, and I quote, "What do you think it looked like? It looked like Kiss."
Well, what happened before, right before the end of the commercial? Remember when the casket devoured
Yes,
Norman?
yes.
Casket opened back up, and now he's in the Kiss gear.
Yes.
So I guess it's like the poles in the Batcave.
Sure.
You slide down, you automatically put the costume on.
Apparently, there's a little person in there painting faces.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. So we get the Screaming Demon, Norman Smiley, versus Shane Helms. So yes, 3 counts gimmick is they get to interfere all the time. It's never a DQ, but it doesn't matter because they always get beat. During this match, the announcers say, "We have just received a phone call from Hulk Hogan promising to confront Lex on Thursday." They couldn't even bother to have Hulk call in
Nope.
and record it. No.
Nope.
They just must tell us Hulk Hogan called in and said he'd be there on Thursday.
And when I was watching, it was like, all the big stuff is happening on Thunder. Like, the last thing Nitro needs right now is to be the B show. And, like, it's the B show.
I guess so.
How were the ratings on Thunder?
Not as good as Nitro.
Really? And Thunder ran unopposed.
Yes.
So Norman and Shane had a fun match. Norman, as always, fought off the interference and won with the Norman Conquest, which is a great name for a move. And the Demon comes out with the cops to chase Norman through the stands, and they were having the slowest chase you've ever seen. When to the back. Mean Gene is interviewing Dallas Page and Kimberly, both of whom have their chests hanging out. Kim talks about how they're back together and our life's a roller coaster and whatever, and the MamaLukes walk up.
What? When did they get back together? What the hell's going on here?
Apparently as of right now.
She says our relationship is back stronger and sexier than ever.
She wore that shirt. I'd take her back in a heartbeat.
Dude. MamaLukes walk up.
Am I wrong, Vinny?
She looked good, Craig.
Thank you.
They're mugging behind him, and Vito pinches her ass. And she turns around, there's Disco.
Yes.
And he goes, "I did not pinch your ass."
You dumb bimbo.
And no, he didn't do that. He just said, "I didn't do it." And then she says, "He pinched my ass." Now Disco's pissed.
I see.
"I did not pinch your ass, you dumb bimbo." So Paige beats his ass. They brawl in the crowd, and Paige wins. I was over the show by now.
Wow.
Paige won when he cut her out of nowhere after a lot of crowd
It
brawling.
wasn't bad.
It was pointless.
It was just too long and late in the show. I watched too much wrestling.
Jarrett and the Heresies walk. Sid walks. I thought he said something, so I rewound it to check. He didn't say what I thought he said. What he did say was just his own name over and over again. Sid. Sid. Sid.
That's how you psych yourself up.
I guess. Terry Funk walks. We get Jeff Jarrett and the Harris Twins versus Sid Vicious and Terry Funk and Ric Flair no-shows.
You know, I love Sid. He's amazingly awful. You ever seen him throw a punch?
Oh, I have.
It's hideous.
I can see it in my mind's eye. I can see it right
So
now.
in this match, he's beating up 2 men at the same time. Wow. Sid beating up 1 man is hilarious. Sid beating up 2 men at the same time is inconceivable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those matches where there's like 5 minutes of crowd brawling and then a tag match breaks out. They got the heat on Funk.
Oh, he's 54, and they just beat on him for like 10 minutes, and he's exhausted. He can't move. He took the most horrible bump for a clothesline. He missed a punch on Jarrett so bad that the announcers had to acknowledge it, even though Jarrett took a bump anyway. It was getting sad.
Yeah.
And finally, he did make the most dramatic hot tag I've ever seen to Sid.
It was funny because He had a pile driver first. So I thought, you're doing fine. You don't need to tag out. And then he stands up and he teeters for about 20 minutes, reaching out to tag Sid. And he finally tags Sid in. So let's see. When Sid tags in, Flair runs out and attacks Funk. So now it's 3-on-1 against Sid. He powerbombs a Harris, but Jarrett hits him with a guitar and pins him, and they go off the air 10 seconds later.
It was so ironic that of all people, Jeff Jarrett, a co-founder of Impact Wrestling,
Yes.
he pins the world champion, and they just go off the air immediately. Yeah. I couldn't even believe it. That was the end of the show. The show was exciting.
Was it?
Parts of it were.
Parts of it were exciting, definitely. It was. I wouldn't call it a bad show. I don't know if I'd call it a great show, although it had one of the greatest moments I ever saw.
It had some highs and lows, man.
There were definitely highs and lows. That's a good way to put it. So yeah, there you go. That's the show, everybody. And
Excuse me, sir.
Oh my God!
You almost forgot.
I have like 4 matches to get the finishes of. The finishes on this show were clean pin, pin after interference in a street fight, pin after interference, no finish when the referee just leaves, submission despite interference, clean pin, pin after guitar shot.
Fine reporting, Vince. You're a veritable Michael Cole here.
Do you realize the wave of cancellations we might have received had I not given the finish?
I hadn't thought of that. I was just concerned about Lance sending me angry texts that the show isn't up yet, so I'll make sure that I get that up on time.